paper then. Ripping for my team, ripping off the industry, I'm on that Wolverine. Put me on vinyl records cause we poppin', crushing and ripping it. Terminating haters, started in the bleachers, now we ballin' like the Lakers. Back up on the scene, ripping for my team, ripping off the industry, I'm on that Wolverine. Put me on vinyl records. What more can I say? Green's the color of money, then put that broccoli in my plate. I've been working really hard and giving y'all niggas a reason to hate. Got a meeting with success, don't waste my time, I can't be late. Hip hop swat, never terminating haters. Started in the bleachers, now we ballin' like the Lakers. Back up on the scene, ripping for my team, ripping off the industry, I'm on that Wolverine. Put me on vinyl records cause we poppin', crushing and ripping it.
Don't say we can't, oh, just don't say another word. These thoughts you've imagined aren't real, aren't adding up. You fetched your ideas from nowhere, all from another world. Your logic's impaired, your full picture is cropped. Cause we both know that one day they're just gonna try again. Without doubt, it's my say, if all's gonna mend. We both know that one day the sun's gonna rise again. So don't pout for our sake, cause this ain't the end. We both know that one day the sun's gonna rise again. So don't pout for our sake, cause this ain't the end. We both know that one day they're just gonna try again. Without doubt, might say if all's gonna mend. We both know that one day the sun's gonna rise again. So don't pout for our sake, cause this ain't the end. Dear right brain, you're so far off, oh, it's like you can't see ahead. These feelings you've caught don't make sense, your plan's gonna flop. You keep raising doubts without cause, all you feel is dread. My logic is fair, if it's pain, it's ever gonna stop. Cause we both know that one day he's not gonna cry again. Without doubt, it's my say, if all's gonna mend. We both know that one day the sun's gonna rise again. So don't pout for our sake, cause this ain't the end. We both know exhale, cause I heard it helps, but same old way I felt, resting on my shoulders, cold night in a sleepless bed, white eyes with a glaze of red. I'm going round and round, it won't let me out. Sing when I swim, I'm drowning in. I sing when I swim from the pressure in my. When I swim, I'm drowning in. I sing when I swim from the pressure.
For a second I thought it was you. Thought it was you. Thought it was you. Thought it was you. For a second I thought it was you. Thought it was you. I thought I had eyes on. For a second I thought it was you.
Hey, hello, welcome back everybody. GC Unofficial Cast is back, and of course it's all done by our beautiful maestro Zobi. How are you, Zobi?
I am doing amazing. I'm excited to be back. You know, we got some fresh faces on the cast this time, some returning faces, all here for the sake of volunteering their time to uplift these amazing marginalized gender players. And I was doing all my notes yesterday, Keg, and I'm going to say we have a pretty banger first matchup looking at these players.
Absolutely. I mean, look, we have Reformed GC and Kinetic going up against each other, and if there's anything I've learned from 7th grade science class is that when there's a lot of kinetic energy happening, it's going to be very fast, very velocity-ic?
High velocity, we'll do that.
High velocity, sure, high velocity, but there's going to be a lot of high octane action happening here throughout the entirety of today, and I'm very excited. I do want to mention one thing, though, before I forget. You mentioned our awesome casters coming here, some of them a little bit on the newer side, right?
Yeah.
I will say, one of our casters is a very
Yeah.
special person to me because they are the coach to our esports team. So, you know, if you want to give a quick shout out to Weirdo Esports, you should definitely follow our coach as well. That's going to be Gemma. But no, you're right. We have some amazing casters here. But Zobi, overall, what is the number one thing you're looking forward to for today when it comes to GC?
Today specifically is A little bit of a spoiler once we move on to rosters. I want to see KP pop off. This is their last event before they take a break for the rest of 2024. And I really want them to end on a strong note. I don't want them to get shut down this early in the round of 16. And I remember watching some of their clips from the last qualifier, and they were putting up the numbers. And it was sad to see them exit that early on in that event. Other than that, though, I mean, as long as we get some close games, I'll be happy.
Yeah, no, KP's been around for such a long time. I've been a big fan of her gameplay since
Mhm.
essentially she came into Valorant, right? Way, way, way back. But yeah, I mean, I think one of the best IGLs in the GC scene that needs to really have their time to shine. I hope they can find their new Shopify once again. And I know they are taking a break, but I'm sure there'll be some other opportunities for them outside of just
Oh, yeah,
competing.
definitely.
Probably the analyst desk. I wouldn't be surprised if we see KP there for the next official GC or even champs.
Yeah, I want to see them. We'll recruit them for this cast. Easy dubs. But let's take a little bit closer of a look at these two squads at Kinetic and Reformed GC because you'll see some familiar names. That's one of the things that I think's been a continuity this Game Changers versus past ones is we have a lot of returning rosters or rosters trying to stick together, trying to develop as squads. So for Kinetic, we have Aluvili, Logic, Australis, Kataris, and Miara. We might see Lydia as a sub as well, or previously known as Tupperware. But that squad, you know, they've been together since the last qualifier. In Series 1, their core was playing as the boys, so they were together for quite a while. Versus our squad from Reformed GC, like I said, a lot of hard hitters that you're going to recognize, Keg, from
Oh yeah.
veterans. We got KP, Millie, Slandy, Kazler, and Riv. So again, if those players show up, if they hit their shots, it's going to be definitely a close matchup considering it's the 7 seed for Kinetic versus the 10 seed for Reformed GC Keg.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to have international talent too for Reformed. Riv is from Australia and
Yeah.
has been some of the, yeah, I mean, Australian talent in Valorant has always been really, I guess, underrated would be the best way to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Crunchy came from Sonics, Bob came from Sonics over towards Australia. A lot of different players, and I suppose there's others too, like Ian and such, but they've kind
Yeah.
of left Valorant by now. So, I mean, I'm excited to see what Riv can bring to the table. I know that she's been very popular back over, outside of America, but I feel like she hasn't made that staple touch inside of America just yet. And I feel like this could be the GC where she does.
I agree. I think what they're really known for is the nasty deagle shots, and I think that their cipher is definitely one to contend with some of the eye-catching players like Starbound from FlyQuest Red. So, spoiler alert: when we get to the map pool, we might get to see some of that action from them today. But speaking of Keg, why don't
Oh,
we talk a little bit more about these map picks and bans? Um,
absolutely.
yeah. I don't know. Do you have them pulled up, or do you want me to
I
take
do.
the lead? There you go. Then you
I
got
got
that.
you. So the first one's gonna be Kinetic banning out Breeze. That's gonna be a
Mhm.
big map gone. I really like GC Breeze a lot because
True.
mostly from Teddy Tactics' point of view, I like to see the Yoru plays, and I feel like this is the map where we see a lot of more experimentation compared to other maps
Mm.
that GC teams play. But from there, of course, the response would be that Reform GC bans out Ascent, which thank you. I really
Thank
don't
you.
want
I
to see any
appreciate it.
Ascent today.
Same
But
here.
Zobi, the first map pick today, though, does come from Kinetics End, and we're heading to Lotus.
Yeah, I mean, these teams are really different on paper. Kinetic, they played one best of 3, that upper finals, after getting a bye in the first round of that GSL format, and they 2-0'd. One of those maps was Lotus, so we know it's a comfort pick for them. And they're just going to be playing their standard comp, I would argue, as well in the current meta. But it's also a strong map for Reform GC, who has played almost the max number of series I would say you can play to get where you are here so far in the round of 16. And they also have played Lotus quite a bit: 2 wins, 0 losses. Maybe running a little bit newer of a composition, I will tease at. I'll let our
Oh,
casters cover that when we get there. Um, One of my favorite agents, I would say, is in that
okay.
composition. Um, so these two teams, it's a strong suit to start off with, but it's interesting that it is Connect's pick because then they're kind of picking into Reformed GC just a bit.
Well, they must have been looking at the footage maybe and like
True.
counter-stratting what they think Reform can bring out. Because keep in mind too, these teams surely scrim each other too, and they've practiced those comms.
Oh, definitely. And map 2, I'll spoil it for Reform GC. They went ahead and chose Split, which, like I said, should be a Riv Cypher masterclass, is what I'm hoping for, considering that's a map that they have played just as much as Lotus, being at 2-0 on it. But we might see them flex around if they decide to pull out a double controller. I want to see a Cypher. Please go back to playing Cypher on that map, Riv. We'll see.
I mean, it'd be weird not to pick Cypher on Split too. It's been like the
Yeah.
staple ever since his trips don't break immediately anymore. But of course, we do have our final bans as well. Icebox and Bind, Kinetic and Reform respectively say, nah, we really don't need those maps anymore, which leaves our final map in this best of 3 to be Sunset. And one of these teams may hit the Sunset out
Yes.
super early.
And Sunset, we haven't gotten to see Kinetic on this map in this qualifier. I believe it was kind of a hit or miss map for them in the last qualifier. I'll get the stats during the break to back that up. But it's also not the best map either for Reform GC at the moment. They also are 1-1 on that map at the moment. So they've won their maps, they've lost their maps. And again, I'm going to be looking for master IGLing from KP along with Riv on that Cypher, being that stability for the squad on the defense, considering that's really, I feel like, where the core is of tracking where players are with their lurks, with their I guess abuse of mid control, if it's how the team would want to play it, or if Kinetic, I guess, would want to play it.
Yeah, and going back to what you said before too, you brought up a good point about the IGL fight between these two teams. KP has gone to the Game Changers World Championship. They have
Yeah.
been playing since the very beginning. That is a daunting thing to go up against if you're going up against KP. There's a very good chance you could get IGL diffed. But, if we want to look at the glass being half full too, this is also a great opportunity for any IGL. I believe you mentioned it was Riv, who could definitely take this as an opportunity to learn more about, going up against KP directly head on and learning how to become a better IGL. But we also just got word that the games are live, Zobi, so we got to head over to the Weirdo Esports Masterclass caster and see, okay, who's going to win it out for map number 1?
All
So,
right. Yeah.
yeah,
Jumping in here.
pretty standard from both of these teams here. Difference mainly being that solo initiator. Kinetic opting for the Fade, which is basically their go-to on this map. Kazler, of course, running the Gecko for Reformed.
Yeah, this is the compositions we've seen both these teams on. No surprises here, whatever, but we're getting some A control, just trying to get anything out here, but Miara not winning that duel and going down early.
Yeah, turret broken onto that B side here. Just going to create a lot of presence, but there's also a lot of noise with that C side. Looks like
Fight going in the favor of KP here. It's going to be a 5v3. This take was really early, but it was not coordinated enough to secure a pick here. But Astralis is just lurking into the site, finding one pick, but her teammate's not going to back her up. And it's just going to be E-sub left. And I mean, that's all you
I
can have.
believe that is Lydia there.
I think
on
that
a
is as well.
tournament account.
Or change of name. And
I believe so.
we're going right back to a break. Okay.
Is or not? Okay. Interesting. Fairly clean round for the defense. Slightly puggy there towards the end, but looks like it's going to be a seize towards that A side and bit more aggression also from side of Reformed. One way, open door. Acro TV there.
Yeah, Reform just knowing they don't want to give up any map control, especially against this eco. It would be a pretty bad idea, and they're just wanting to fight this. They are going to leave this Omen to be by themselves, so could be a pick opportunity here for Reform. Kinetic.
See, I want to very quickly draw attention to the defensive Viper wall, which you may not see because it is right on top of the attacking Viper wall, which is not something that you normally see on this map, or really anywhere. But I find it super interesting, and if the ideas are behind it, which I believe they are, judging by this fairly clean round from Reformed, I think it can work.
It's just being put up right when the other Viper Wall goes down, and it just makes it so difficult for the attacking side to get in and get any A control, just since it's always going to be up. And as long as Reformed gets in front of that Viper Wall before, you know, it does pop, they should just be fine. I mean, this is a very... if you are the defense, you really do want to attack that rubble area, and it makes a lot of sense if they're just going to be doing that every single round to have that Viper Wall.
Seems like there's going to be a four-player group. At least at the start, it was, but we'll see some players peeling off there to go support other areas of the map as Slandy stays up there to hold the space. 1-2-2 default.
Getting a little bit aggressive, but the trade comes through, and it does favor Kinetic. It's going to really open the map here as we're getting into this mid-rounding, but let's see what we can make happen here for this Kinetic team. It should favor them on the attacking side.
Aluvali very aggressively pushed up towards C, not quite fully into sight yet, but if the alarm bot goes down, which I believe it has, they are in a perfect position to just call for the rotate, and all of a sudden there is no one here to respond to this take.
Yeah, it's going to go through. The orbs are going to be picked up. It's just 30 seconds left. The site is taken, so a 3v4 post-plant here.
No information tools really left for Formed here, and so they will elect to fight up the flank here all the way through attacking side spawn, but they're not trying to be subtle about it.
It is just going to be this retake to come through, but Lydia needs to absolutely pop off. The shots go through, and they're pretty clean. Don't want to give up any of these weapons to Reformed, but a kill goes through, and it's just going to be the damage this Reform team is looking for, unless they get a move on, hit the gas, and get this retake going, but the spike is ticking. Some great damage to go through, but the picks to go down. And KP just trying to get out with her life, and it's not going to happen. Goes down, but still some pretty good damage. But, I mean, if you're Kinetic, you're going to be happy to at least get something on the board.
Yeah, that is still quite a bit of damage to the economy of that Kinetic team, which is a pretty good bonus round for Reformed GC. Once again, we'll see that same Viper Wall coming out with 3-player aggression towards Rubble. Fairly standard. Single turret towards the B side, so if that gets broken, all information there is gone.
Yeah, coming into this round, it is just going to be this A aggression we're so used to seeing really from every single team that's ever played Lotus, but not really favoring anyone. It's just a bunch of util use from both these sides, and I would say this is 100% favoring this Reform side. They're getting that orb, they're getting this A aggression that just totally cuts off an entire site from this Kinetic team. I'm curious to see later into this game, once they're a bit more conditioned to it, what are they going to do to stop losing so many resources this early into the round. But a site take to go into B, and it's going to be Logic. Just no backing on that take, and immediately goes down there.
That very well could have just been a bait play, because, like, the solo initiator on the side of Kinetic, that being Stralis, was nowhere near the actual take there. KP has an op, which I did not notice. But clearly getting value. Not enough value, though.
30 seconds
Not enough value. Yeah, this site take to come in, not wanting to give up any more resources. This Thrash to stop it. It does successfully do so. It does get broken, so no one detained. The push can still go through. 18 seconds on the clock. It needs to.
3
Well, I'm about
players
to
here
come out of-
already.
A great swing out of them and just wiping it up, and it's going to Reforms looking extremely good off of the back of their, veteran IGL of KP.
Yeah, Thrash invested there. I just want to call very quick attention to the aggression you saw that was shown outside of C. You really don't see that many teams pushing up through Mound. Not in many leagues, which I think is an honest shame because it's a really good plan, it's a really good idea, and now Kinetic just have to be aware of it.
Coming back to this A side though, gonna see some more aggression, and this conditioning is just making Kinetic so scared, and it is an eco round for them, so I mean it's in their hands they got some sheriffs, but I mean if GC is known for anything, it's the sheriff.
Once again, there was an early use of that paranoia on the defensive side from Slandy, which is what a shot. That is quite a nuts shot, but that as I was saying, the paranoia was used early again, and there wasn't much that really got capitalized off of it. It's like
It's pretty tough, but I mean if they're not playing for this retake here, it's a worthy investment, and it doesn't seem like they are. They're just wanting to fight for this space, and great shots out of Millie to find 2 numbers in their favor. Now Kazler, she's just following it up, and that's what you need to do. These two
Find you.
are absolutely having a field day over here by this A main position, but take a look at Miara.
ooh,
Not
30 seconds
finding anything over there as KP takes her out, and this round seems pretty tough here for Astralis.
that round, that lurk could have been massive, but the awareness from KP there was amazing. Astralis onto 3 kills. It's a 1v2. Bombs going down. I'll give him the Nightfall. This
My ult
is
is ready.
very winnable. Maybe not very winnable, but this is certainly winnable for Astralis, though. Side of form will be going down.
Yeah, just almost having that Fade Eye up, but not waiting long enough to use it, and Reformed to pick up another round. Operator secured, still in that gun rotation, and coming into this 6th round, it's Reformed with a pretty dominant lead. But, I mean, you're thinking about this game on, like, the most microscopic level. What is Kinetic's plan here? To come back into this, it's kind of supposed to be an attacker-sided at the end of the day, but obviously right now it's just not swinging that way.
Well, I think the biggest thing that is shutting down Kinetic right now is the early A aggression, which they try to respect but then fight into. Here they are just fighting into it early. Basically the one round where Reformed is not actually showing that. KP ringing op shot, no kill behind it, gonna invest the Nightfall onto this take.
It is invested, but seeming the positioning is just coming into a full retake, and we do have some pretty good ultimates on the side of Reformed for this retake. Having this showstopper, having that Viper's Pit, if they get on that side and take that space up, and just respecting this Kinetic team so much. Now, their Viper's Pit to pop up, but the showstopper to come in does find one. Millie, what else can you do? KP to find another. The numbers favoring them. 2 members of Kinetic to drop down. Wingman on the spike. It needs to be broken. The defuse is continuing to go through, but the post plant's not hidden. And just pushing up on this take, and the numbers are now favoring Kinetic, but the round's over. Reformed wins it.
And that right there is the power of the Gecko. Gecko actually did get killed during that whole exchange, but because the other players on the side of Reformed were alive, Wingman could just stay on bomb while KP was holding down the fort. Now, I do want to call attention to this Viper's Pit, which I think is going to be exceedingly tough to use because of the op that KP is holding here. So it's going to be...
Just aggression to come through, and a great combination of utility. The Mosh, but it's just not favoring them enough. But what does Kazler have to say about it? She's absolutely gunning here. And
Trades going the way of Reformed there. It seems like Kinetic was just not as familiar with the A aggression from Reformed as they thought.
it's going to be Lydia in a 1v3, and a tough position to be in, but still, I'm not expected to capitalize, and is not what we're going to see here. And the lead continues to snowball in the favor of Reformed.
Yeah, but Kinetic do have a bunch of round-winning ults online. The Showstopper, the Viper's Pit, the Lockdown. Reformed have their own Thrash and Viper's Pit, but as I mentioned before, with the op in the hands of KP, it's definitely going to be hard to use.
Make it happen.
I'm just a little bit nervous that they're going to use too many ults into a round, and that's going to be their round win, of course, but they can't really do anything off of it. The economy is so good here in Reform's hands that it doesn't really matter if they drop a round, because they'll still be, you know, backup ready and rebound so fast.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I believe that is an alarm bot holding the aggro push out of Mound. Stralis picks off Slandy, though. Interesting. It seems like perfect bait set up from the side of Kinetic there. Showstopper being invested.
But KP just to take out Logic in the skies. KP now alone here, watching this B site, but keep a look at this flank to come through. Watch out, and a no-scope finds Aluvili. And KP for the 4K with the shorty. Entering the domain, entering the pit, and is absolutely excelling there.
I didn't even notice the molly kill for, that KP had onto Astralis there. Then the hip fire op shot, that is certainly a round to remember. Now, even if I don't have the coach in front of me, I don't think, but I think that you have to call a timeout here if you're on the side of Kinetic. If not this round, the next. This is a very large round deficit. You can see the plan being formed here. Perfect read.
Plan is formed, but a great paranoia and the aggression to fall off the back of it. Reclearing that space, but only finding one kill. It's an even trade. And Kinetic wanting to continue their tirade onto the C site.
Now,
Knife.
certainly some kind of even trade. Kinetic will, though, be down one of those ults that are really good to take site.
That is trying to come in, but it's needing Lydia to go absolutely massive. Does find one. Wishing she found another, I'm sure. It's a 3v2 now.
Nightfall into this round. Stall the push, but here it comes.
It is, but Miara absolutely popping off here. A 1v3 for her if she can convert it. Sniffing out where KP is, has an operator and finds the back of Miara, securing the round and bringing them closer and closer just to a extremely dominant half. And I know you were talking about them taking a timeout, and I 100% agree here. Looking at their past stats on Lotus, this is night and day. They won a 10-2 half versus Sad GC in their last game on Lotus, and they started on the attack, so it's absolute whiplash for this team here.
I also think that on the side of Kinetic, it was really a round loser there, that early trade, because Kinetic were down that lockdown. Something great for stalling the site hit, something great for taking the site itself. Which really dashed a lot of their chances.
No, it definitely did. They do have it into this round, but on this eco, it's a lot more scary to use it since converting that round is so much more difficult. But if Lydia can get a little bit more aggressive, I mean, she's had some phenomenal chances to get these early picks and converting a lot of them, but unfortunately not into this round.
Early dink onto Millie there, really going to hurt. That's a lot less firepower now heading into this. Children listed.
Yeah, the site hit to come through, and we have a great shot onto Logic and shutting down that showstopper yet again.
On the topic of lockdowns, as I was mentioning before, here comes one from the defense. I feel like this has just been this game. We've just seen so many just nice shots.
It's GC, that's what they're known for. Astralis need to come on the defense here, but it's not going to happen. Aluvili not being able to get off site, having that lockdown in the hands, not going to be able to use it, but Lydia with this Bulldog absolutely going huge. But what more can you do for this team? It's not going to be anything as you walk back into the poison and drop to the earth as Reform GC gaining another round, one away from double digits and already securing themselves a phenomenal half.
I would just like to call to attention that that is KP's second snakebite kill this game, and we're not even done with the first half. So, I think that is just amazing, hilarious. Alluvili also got a Molly kill into that round. I don't remember exactly who it was on. We're just seeing so many Molly kills this game.
It was on to Millie after the dink earlier into the round from Lydia.
Talk about a 1-2 punch. Snakebite used to flush Riv off the angle.
Yeah, coming into this round here, just wanting to invest this lockdown, but I don't think it's really gonna do too much. Nobody's on this side. KP just wanting to open the door, create some pressure, but a bit too little too late. Playing with your food a little bit too much there, KP. As
a little too slow there on the retreat from the door.
Just a little bit. Showstopper to come through, but Logic taking an incredible amount of space. Now playing from this CT position, making this retake ever so difficult. And it's going to be Slandy and not being able to convert the round as Kinetic getting their second on the half, which is a step in the right direction for this team.
Now, both sides have the same ults online. Both sides have From the Shadows. Both sides have Viper's Pit. The biggest difference is KP has had that Viper's Pit for a long time and is still holding the op, which means that is going to just be painful to use. So, practically, Kinetic are up an ult here. So if they can just get onto site, pop that Viper's Pit.
Yeah, just investing that when you have the op is a very weird investment, but this B-side, nobody on it, and it's just gonna be this Kinetic team to waltz right onto there, no contention whatsoever, Spike to go down, I'm sure, and Viper's Pit, I can only imagine, is going to be invested here, and yes it is, taking all of that CT control, making this retake pretty difficult, but the turret is going to be smoked off on the flank, and I'm not too sure Kinetic's going to expect at least two of them.
I would also like to call to attention that the pit coming out from Kinetic also reaches into Heaven and Upper there, which...
And to big 2 kills from Lydia, the Viper's Pit from KP to come through, and this flood onto the site is so huge. KP with the shorty to find Astralis, that final kill to secure them double digits and to secure them an 8-round lead heading into this second half. And I don't know, you know, what happened there from Kinetic, from a 10-2 of their own versus Sad GC to being on the receiving end of that is not what you want to see.
Well, I mean, I think the real answer is staring us in the face. It looks like it's just a KP masterclass. 15-4 wall calling is just absolutely incredible. It looks like both of these teams are gearing up for some early aggression. Once again, an interesting wall from KP here, covering B Heaven and A Secret, as opposed to the typical wall that we saw for the entirety of the last half, covering the entirety of the path up towards A site.
This pistol positioning around here, just defaulting around the map, and yeah, that wall is to, you know, maybe just they've seen Kinetic, they've seen how they want to play, and they know that this KJ likes to set up near that A site and put that turret in and Hobbit there, so that wall, you know, allows them to lurk through that position and allows them to maybe catch some interesting timings onto these Kinetic players. But it's been a very quiet first couple of seconds, about, you know, 40 of those seconds it's been quite quiet. No trades to go through. I don't even know if anyone's seen anybody else.
Not quite yet, I don't think. Noise has certainly been made, but Kinetic seem to have the read here for people towards this C site. See who's gonna take first contact.
Just to come through, but trying to play super aggressive here from Kinetic and Miara to go down to the paint shells, the rotation, wanting to go back towards this B site. That pivot is going to be incredibly fast, and I don't think you expect KP to be here. Of course you don't. KP lurking into a great position and making this retake so difficult for these two Kinetic players. 4v2 Spike is ticking. Needing to get a move on. Ball's in your court here, Kinetic, and you're not doing anything with it. Millie, great shot out of you. What can you do, Lydia? You've been kind of a superstar in the early of these rounds, but in a post-plant position, what are you gonna do?
Repping the 100 Thieves Classic. And another kill for KP. Really just bringing it to the Kinetic on Kinetic's map pick too.
That's a great point, actually. Having this happen on your map pick, and then, you know, really what are you gonna do? You kind of just have to focus next here. Unless you have a brilliant plan to come through and win, you know, 9 rounds here. But it's just an incredibly unlikely scenario. But, I mean, we've seen weirder things, I guess.
Dizzy tried to be invested there, but not quite enough to be to get much use there. All there was a couple of bullets. They know that there's 2 people there.
We sure do, but Reformed still just wanting to default around this map, not really wanting to feed the hands of Kinetic any weapons here.
Because I mean, they've already heard 1 stinger, and if you look at the score line, Kinetic really don't have any choice other than to buy here. Because if they don't buy, then they are going to lose this round, and that puts Reformed onto map point, which, you know, you never want to just give up map point.
Yeah, not at all, but just a pivot to go to this B site. That Mosh to stop this fast flood from these Kinetic players. Miara stomping around here, and your innate pop caught off by Slandy. And it's just looking bad to worse here for these Kinetic players.
That is so gutting, too, because Miara was so aware, almost saw it, with Logic going down.
But just trying to get onto this site. You do find 2 players, but at the cost of 2 of your own. 3-1, and KP to pick up that final kill. A team ace out of Reformed GC, and map point secured.
Now, I mentioned it before, but you think by now you'd see at least 1 timeout from the side of Kinetic down this much? Just, even if it's just for a moment to regain your own thoughts, decide on the game plan. Speaking of game plans, it's looking like this one is going to be maybe some aggression towards A, judging by the fact that Logic is hugging that barrier, but From will be handing that aggression right back.
Logic just trying to take that angle with the Stinger. It's, I guess, the best weapon you could have gotten in that situation. But trying to get into this tree position, you gotta hold it down. Do anything, hold down the fort, but a great shot out of Millie. Wingman to go through, wanting to get that spike down and just hopping in. Millie sacrificing her life, but for the greater good, for the cause, to pick up 1. But this flood onto the side from Kinetic is going pretty well. Numbers are into 2v2. Spike is planted, and Riv to pick up 1. A 2v1 now, but both these members are low. Extremely doable for Miara. But it's not gonna happen. Riv to close out the map, to get that headshot, and to bring us to this second map of split.
It really felt like for all of that game that it was just Reformed in the driver's seat. You never really saw anything from Kinetic where they were taking control of those rounds, deciding the pace, and it definitely didn't help that it feels like for the most part, all of Reformed were just so white hot with that aim.
Reformed was absolutely cooking on that map, and just like not even like by the IGL sense, but also just they were feeling themselves. Like they really just couldn't miss. They were really doing nothing wrong. The rounds they won, I think they lost the third round, which is you're kind of expected to, and like, especially since the team forced up, but then they just kept going on that run. They gave up that other one when the ults were used, but that was about it. And just a phenomenal performance out of that team, and I'm excited to see what we're gonna see on Split.
I mean, I too am excited about what we're going to see. Uh, I just feel like this game is the perfect example of why timeouts can be so important here, because Kinetic never took a timeout, and so they didn't have a chance to recollect their own thoughts, come up with a decisive game plan, stall the momentum that Reformed was getting. And I think that is what really hurt them. Obviously, there were many factors, but in the end, that certainly did not help whatsoever.
Yeah, and it is what it is. Looking in the past now doesn't really do too much. They didn't use the timeout. I was expecting to see one as well. But I think we have some great insight coming out of these two desk members of Keg and Zobi. So, what do you guys got to say?
Look, these are always going to be the hardest games to analyze because one team just
True.
played better. Like, that's like the most surface level thing you could possibly say, right? Like as an analyst, but it's like it's true. 13-3. Like how there wasn't really, but 13-2, excuse me. It was like it was a very drastic scoreline difference. And I think it was Claire that mentioned that this wasn't necessarily just like an IGL diff. This was just that
No.
everyone in Reformed looked a lot better. And looking at the past historical like map results that Kinetic had on this map recently, like they've done well on Lotus, but they didn't have any drastically great scoreline differences either. Reformed just had the better map.
Yeah, which is insane because number one, that was Kinetic's map pick, but
Yeah.
um, also just like I said, we haven't seen a very deep map pool from this squad, at least for this qualifier in itself. So maybe they were going for that safer pick, expecting it just to be a easier match for them, so that they didn't have to reveal more moving forward in the bracket. But that might be coming back to bite them in the butt because now we're going to be swapping over to Reform's map pick. And you mentioned that it's hard to analyze kind of a map that's a stomp like this. But I think we can kind of point out, I guess, what Reformed was doing right that led to this much of a stomp, at least for their defense half, and maybe what we need to see as improvements for the Kinetic squad. Since Split, yes, it's going to be a little bit simpler in terms of it being that two-site map, but there's a lot of crevices and avenues that can still get taken advantage of. And I'm going to double check this, but they're also going to be swapping sides. So while we didn't really get to see that attack from Reformed to the defense as much from Kinetic because of that stomp mentality, let's focus on exactly what I was noticing. And Gemma kind of touched on this a little bit, is that anything that Reformed did worked for them. They weren't doing the same exact thing round after round. They would start the game, as Gemma said, with this kind of mound aggression, standard Lotus kind of defensive approach where you aggress in one location, hard anchor the others. And then I think it was round 6, about halfway through the half, where they started changing things. And what for me was kind of a really confident move for them was they three stacked C and played a complete and flawless retake of the A side off the showstopper, off of that Gecko utility. And I think that's something that Kinetic can expect moving forward, especially for as structured as I guess sequential of a retake map Split is, that they need to fight forward, they need to claim deeper site control. Because on Lotus, they had, 1, 2 members on site, the rest were playing back towards Rebel, back towards Breakable, and then that was just really easy for Reform GC to reclaim that space and just like you said, leverage that. They're just hitting their shots better today, playing better together today, to get around victory.
I mean, look, if there's one map where claiming and reclaiming space is more important than anything else, it has to be Split.
Mm-hmm.
And given that, if there's anything that I've learned in my times at FPS games, is that you always want to win your own map pick. Kinetic
Mm,
didn't do that. So now the ball is in Reform's court after winning Kinetic's map pick, where there's a good chance we don't see Sunset now, Zobi. Are we going to
that's
see
true.
Sunset?
I really have no way to call. I was asked even in chat, who I'm favoring today, whether it be from bias perspective or from actual analyst perspective. And historically Kinetic's been the better looking team, but with the pedigree behind Reformed, like I said, they had the potential to show up, and they definitely are today. So I do think I see this closing out in a 2-0, but if Kinetic, comes together, if they take a mental reset after that first map, maybe that's just their warm-up map, so to say, we can definitely go to Sunset.
Absolutely. Well, we don't have much time to waste. We do need to take a small break while we get ready for map number 2, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I can show you what love's supposed to feel like. I can show you what love's supposed to be. I can show you what love's supposed to feel like. I can show you, yeah. I can show you, yeah. You're the light inside of me every night. Chasing dreams, ain't got time to make 'em see what we believe. You and me, yeah.
You thought that we were done. You thought we'd have a break. No breaks here in GC. It's fast going nonstop until the day we die. My name is Keg, and I'm joined by Gemma.
Oh.
Gemma and Claire. And we're just about ready to get started with map number 2. We already saw Reformed win Kinetic's map pick. Now we're going to Reformed's map pick. Claire, is there a hope for Kinetic?
I think so. I mean, it's gonna be tough. What I was thinking of during the break is that KP, obviously a veteran. A lot of these players are veterans. She knows what to look for when viewing VOD reviewing, especially of the opposition. And there is some split VODs out there of this Kinetic team, which worries me a little bit, and that makes me a little bit scared. But I mean, I'm not a coach. I don't VOD review. I look at cast sometimes. I watch the games, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? But Gemma, you're a coach of a
Exactly, we have
world-renowned
our
esports
coach here.
organization. Yeah.
I am obviously coming from that coach perspective, which is a bit why I focused on those timeouts. But I'm also a numbers merchant, and so far Kinetic Kinetic have only played Split once, so that is not a very great sample size. But the game that they did play was a 13-3, admittedly against FlyQuest Red, but it was an absolute stomp. And so I'm going from the opposite angle. I don't think that Kinetic have much of a chance on this second map. I'd love for them to prove me wrong, but
Okay. I like this conflict. I like the friction here. So we'll have to wait and see. So I guess the big question before we get into this, and I'm sure it will start any second from now, is Gemma, Claire, at what round would you say that we can determine who wins it? Obviously, whoever wins the game that round, yes, sure. But if it's say 6-3, right? Can we call it there?
I've seen enough comebacks in this circuit, in the Challengers League, in top tier circuits, even in ranked, to know that 6-3 of a scoreline, it typically isn't that decisive unless it's the team with 3 rounds won the first 3, and then it's just the last 6 have just been rolling. It depends on how these rounds fall onto the board, truly.
Ooh, okay, Claire. We're about to get into Agent Select. How many scores, or what's the score line that we'll call the game for you?
I think it's round 14, second pistol.
Okay.
Once that's done, I think that the game is really over. I think we can really see the vision of what the riders are going for at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Well, you know what? We don't have Agent Select. We're going straight into the game. Good luck, you two, on Split. It's going to be one hell of a time.
All right. Before
Now-
we get into this game,
Yeah.
what do you got to say?
Uh, I I definitely find interesting the conflict of
Here.
this. Oh, that is super interesting coming up from Kinetic. Different comp from the one game we saw last time, running 2 players worth of dive, that being Astralis and Logic with the Cypher in place. See a similar comp coming out from Reform. They have the Viper there. Love to see how that one agent difference shows up. Early aggression from
Blocking sight.
KP.
Yeah, and KP winning that, instead of playing that Viper, wanting to hop on that duel, absolutely soaring around the map, but
Down mid.
Aluvilli on the side of the map on that Cypher, absolutely.
Player
Can you get another one? It's not gonna be in the cards, but you did an insane amount of damage, and that damage might just set up Astralis to win this round, and to get a pick here while the spike is being
Spike planted.
defused and these two are nowhere near each other would be absolutely massive.
Absolute bloodbath in mid. Positioning known for the side of Reformed. Health in favor of Kinetic, though. Interesting. Late wraparound, silent. Will KP be aware?
One enemy remaining.
KP not aware, making this into a 1v1. More and more doable by the second. Spike is ticking though. Astralis feels that fire on her back. And it's to go through with the alarm bot to secure this round. Don't even need to fight them.
The boom bot getting the kill there. I think that's really gonna show us the tone of this game. I feel like it's gonna come down to that utility, whether or not Kinetic can really utilize this interesting comp of theirs, being able to play both aggressively on the defense and stepping back, letting the Cypher do their thing. Though I will say it's going to be very oppressive, the Reformed comp here with that Viper. Especially that wall, I can tell that somebody's been watching Zest VODs at least.
And we love Pacific here. Big Pacific fans in the GC community, but KP with an interesting pathing up this mid position, and just this mid, it is a force to come out of them, so something to take of note.
Kinetic are up around me. Looks like it's a typical case of the buy and we win syndrome. Forced buy out from Reformed. They are just getting mowed down in this mid here, though. So, nice lurk coming up from Riv.
And to win the fight, that's absolutely massive. Definitely opening up the A side of the map. And the rotate goes through, but it's gonna be Kinetic on their heels, but Riv, a great reposition, and can definitely catch Lydia off guard, and it does. Indeed, lurking like prime gnats out here on this split.
See, I believe Slandy misplaced a smoke towards Vent, which I just
Here.
think may have, if Kinetic win this, I think that lost from the round there. Yeah, I believe there was a missed smoke towards Vent. It landed on the other side of that wall towards the top of a ramp, which just allowed Kinetic to take all that heaven control and flood onto site.
And Reform now has found themselves in a very interesting and precarious position, forcing into this round, not going to have the money to buy into next, and needing to wait till fourth before you can get to that rifle v rifle moment. And Kinetic's got to be pretty pleased with that one.
I mean, yeah, they have to be pleased. I mean, Reformed have negative money in the bank here. Lydia's not
They're
going to be investing
kind of
the judge.
Forcing, though.
But that's another force. Though this time they have actual money to fall back on if they lose this.
They sure do, and just an interesting way of playing this early map. It's just going to be the Cypher on this side, and it's only with a ghost, but it doesn't really matter. Aluvilli's absolutely on a heater. One bullet left, and that's gonna be all she wrote there, but the rest of her team buying enough time for them just to show up. Astralis on a pinch here, and it's gonna be Lydia to secure this one, mow him down with a stinger, and there you are. You're up 3 here. much different from what we saw at Lotus.
Very different from what we saw in the previous round. Looking at this comp from Kinetic once more, I feel like it's taking a page almost out of Sentinel's book, with the ability to play slow and back with that Cypher, but with that double duelist, that aggressive
them open.
retake style. Okay.
Yeah, we were talking about how important retakes are on this map and how difficult it is to hold down those sites. You really, if you're on that defensive side, you need to choose somewhere to gain map presence, to gain that fortress. And Kinetic has been absolutely performing in that, you know, that measurable statistic here. They've mainly been focusing on mid, but this time taking it towards B. What can you do, Riv? It's not going to be anything.
Aggressive angle taken. One gun down. KP taking a page out of the book of Shazam back in the old Sentinels days, rocking the jet entry IGL here, playing up.
I think Shazam actually stole that from KP.
The history
Must've.
books of VLR have lied to me, is what I've heard, is what I've learned so far today.
Grounded.
I'm not too sure, but it's just going to be Logic absolutely popping off on the jet at the moment. And Kinetic just winning every gunfight, but Katzler making this a little bit more winnable.
I would just like to call to attention here that this is Reform's attacking side with 2 duelists and an Omen.
Absolute interesting composition. Yeah, not running just a single initiator, but these 2 players from Reformed making it happen, making that work for them. And it's Miara finding themselves in a very uncomfortable position. As Crossfire's set up, wanting to swing off of the contact of Slandy, but Slandy just wins the fight. No need for the teammates, and Reformed getting onto the boards here.
Yeah, I mean, the idea behind the forces here, I don't hate that, actually, because it is split. We all learned from Billy versus NRG the power of playing around these tight corners on this map.
Absolutely, you just need to get that Raze Judge out of here. Or, in this map, I'm, keen to see it.
Very interesting ideas and setup here from Kinetic, leaving all of A Heaven just open. Normally, if you're going to be playing anywhere on A, it's going to be in Heaven there, keeping that control, so that way when you retake, it's far easier. Also, an interesting trip coming from the side of Kinetic there. Raised off the ground, you can just walk under that, but it's designed to stop any double satchels, any updraft dashes into that A site.
There we go, though. Just holding down this mid presence, it doesn't really matter. They're having such a difficult time inching their way over toward that A site that they don't even need to hold this Heaven position, but the flash comes through, wanting to swing out with an operator, not finding anything. These Reformed players wary of that. But it's KP playing extremely aggressive, only to get traded out by the teammate, and this A site open up completely. Showstoppers going high and wide on both of these raises.
Double showstopper, double Rosa. I never thought I'd see the day.
But Spike to go in from the shadows. TP comes through. Where's it going? Back into that A main position. Riv on a late flank. And Miara could be another rough timing here.
This would be the second time this game that Miara was so aware of the timing, but just didn't hold it for long enough.
Tap goes through, and these 2 players need to do something, but an ace to come from Millie.
I didn't even notice that until it happened. I didn't notice Millie popping off that round, getting that second round for Reformed, which obviously get in that second round, get a more momentum. Seekers will be online for the side of Reformed here. Both teams do have that Blade Storm for their Jets.
Yeah, Ultimate's finally coming to pop. We did see both those showstoppers last round, but
Get out of my
you know,
way.
they didn't do too much, but I mean, it shouldn't really matter. This is a new round to your KP with the Jet Knives. You see those trap wires you were talking about. Dog not quite finding anything, and it's the Jet duel, but it favors KP. KP in a really rough position. It doesn't really matter. Fading for the rest of this team, being quite the distraction, quite the pest for these Kinetic players to deal with.
Shorty and a dream for KP. We've seen from last map what KP can do with this, but
And there's the judge I was looking for in the hands of Miara. Does find one, but quickly shut down. And this reformed GC team absolutely reformed after those first 3 rounds.
yeah, and this is exactly what I mentioned before. Scorelines aren't the full story. If you can just see the order in which those rounds were won, like, that is a lot of funds for the side of Reformed. It's a lot of momentum. Seeker's still online, one off of that Viper's pit. Up in the hands of KP, though. That's going to force them to play slower on this attack side.
It is. KP really loving playing with this operator here. In these last couple of games. The last dance with this operator for the remainder of 2024, so.
I didn't even notice, but on the side of Kinetic, Logic also has an operator in their hands.
Here.
Sure do. Positioned over towards A. No one really stationed over there. The Seekers to come through. But not
Here.
really. I mean, it does give you quite a bit of info, but it's still pretty early into this round. Reformed still having
Here.
Seekers of their own if they want to use them on this site take.
Yeah, not many other ults out here, and it looks like potential trade of the Seekers here. Here, earlier Kinetic used theirs, and it's going to look like, in response, a 3-player push into B main here, leaving the actual site effectively wide open.
Finding the operator from Logic stationed at the top of A ramps, but gonna be pushed off the angle. KP on the opposite side of the map, trying to secure these 3 and contain them over towards this B side as the take goes in.
Spike planted.
Logic just trying to duck hunt here from Lamps, but it's not going in
Blinded.
her way. And KP off the swing, but Haluvili just a little bit faster to the draw. 3 members of this reformed team playing on site as the take comes through. Make that only 2 now. Double satchel to come in. Millie shuts it down, and it's all the kills. It's green in the kill feed as Kinetic secure their 4th round.
And we mentioned missed shots last. We mentioned missed shots on the desk, and I feel like that round was just a lot of missed shots from Reformed. Like, so many just missed shots that could have just won the round there, but not quite coming through. Kinetic doesn't really have that many ults that from the shadows can be used for some information, maybe an early rotate, but I think it's Reformed's pit here, the Viper's pit, that'll really be the most influential in this round. Not that close to any ults, though. Both raises are 3 points away from that showstopper.
KP just trying to dash up ramp, trying to find some value. Does force these 3 off of the angle. And opening up this site for her team. This spike could go down this this Viper's pit to follow, I'm sure. But actually, I am incredibly silly. That Viper is lurking through mid. There is a trip here.
We'll wait to shoot that. Look for any presence up. And
Oh, Riv actually could own this.
Kinetic.
It was a great idea, but Riv just not hearing the footsteps.
I mentioned last game. I mentioned last game the timings that are just gutting to miss. That was one of them, looking away right as they decide to swing KP in an amazing spot there.
The side take to come through, it's Tali. It's Lydia's for the fight, but not in her favor. Millie winning this one. Spike is ticking. Just needed to get off the plant and does so perfectly. And Kazler to secure the final 2 kills. And that's the operator to go down, and I'm not too sure if Kinetic has the funds to buy another one.
I do not believe they do, and it looks like they won't be buying. Yeah, they won't be buying one into here, but neither will the side of Reformed. 2 points off the showstopper for Millie, only 1 for Astralis. If Astralis manages to get an early pick here, that could be round winner. And it looks like KP may have mispressed the updraft button there.
It happens to the best of us. But I don't.
It happens to the best of us.
This fight is gonna break out any time now. Flash goes through, but KP faster on the trigger. And it's just all going so well here for this Reform team. This site's completely empty. Maybe Logic can try, you know, her best to get a little bit of a cheeky pick going on here.
You could see KP looking at the floor, ready to pinging that they could swing, and right as they were about to, just they do swing, and that flick is just gorgeous. 1v4 for Aluvili. Is this doable?
It's looking like an impossible situation. Extremely rough. Sees the gun, does find that first pick, but immediately traded out of KP. Can't do too much if you're playing like that if you're Aluvili. Great attempt trying to deal some damage, but I'm interested to see how this has impacted the Kinetic buy, because I don't think it was looking super great for their economy just last round, and I can only assume they're on an eco of their own.
Yeah, I mean, that was a full buy on the side of Kinetic, and for Reformed, this is the kind of attacking half you'd see. Showstopper is available for both sides, and it looks like Riv will be following in the footsteps of KP of having a Viper's Pit for quite a few rounds, but not quite using it.
And just no one from this Kinetic team is on this B side, opting to stack over towards A. Maybe trying to get a little bit of a read on this Form team to make this eco a little bit better, but
Riv just has a gorgeous lineup to get a one-way onto that B heaven.
oh, that paint supposed to go through could absolutely be massive, and Millie tearing it up in these alleyways, but does get taken down there in the end. Kinetic picking up some weapons, but it's just gonna be Slandy just fan through the smoke. That timing.
1v3 for Astralis. That was winnable, because despite how dominant it may have seemed, it was still a 2v3. But with Slandy getting the pick there, Astralis just gonna try and take guns out of hands here, and no real dice here other than the one, of course, designated player that's watching the bomb.
And 2 rounds left here of the half. What are we seeing? Reformed having all 5 of their ultimates to use
Yeah,
over
it's just
these next 2.
so oppressive having all 5 ults when you're already up rounds. Kinetic, Neural Theft, and Showstopper, but there isn't really like many set plays you can do around that. History repeats itself, and it looks like KP will pop those knives. Yeah.
Full Showstopper to E coming in, and does find one into Astralis. Logic's squeaking out with her life, but just coming through. Millie just running it down, and it's successfully working, but Lydia making sure to watch that rope. Really a bit of an overheat. KP now picking up this operator. The spike might just be going down, but it seems that this Reform team wanting to wait for their teammates, not wanting to give this Kinetic team that timing.
It's a 2v4 already, and we still have a minute left on the clock. Less now that Spike's down, but 2 ults invested in this round for Reformed, and it basically secured positioning known. It's gonna be a save.
Makes a lot of sense. Their economy isn't looking great. Just needing to secure what they can, wanting to bring those hero rifles into this next round.
Camera taken.
At least wanting to make it a 7-5 half if possible. It was looking so good for these Kinetic players in those first 3 rounds, but letting it slip over the second half of this half. So, what are you gonna do?
Just want to say that I think that was an incredible call from KP. Lots of guns going down though.
Round in the half.
That was an absolute blitz, but Kinetic no guns into this round. But as I was saying, I think that was an incredible call from KP, noticing that they could get the op and knowing that they like to buy the op, and making the call to just play aggressive. But you were looking for a judge on split. Stralis got you covered.
It's great to see, and I mean, you gotta buy what you can into this rounds, but, and you said it, these calls from KP have been absolutely perfect. Gold standard calls out of KP on these last 2 maps. And it's just not the greatest day for Kinetic at the moment. Nothing going their way, and Millie, this entry has been so good, but Lydia over near that B site is frying, and I mean, she has been this entire time, but this round being flipped on its head. KP, a great shot onto Lydia, on the hero of this Kinetic team.
2v2 here. Like,
He's getting a little bit silly with it. Does find the pick on Miara, making this so difficult. Astralis has this showstopper, wants to go for it, wants to make something happen. Not being able to find one. KP dodging that. Spike is planted, not planted for these two. But just trying to slice the pie, trying to find these one-on-ones, and does do so, but it's Slandy to win it out.
I feel like we've just been seeing so many nice shots this tournament. This tournament, but this game in general, and just so gutting for the side of Kinetic in general. This map, the previous map. Here's hoping that the double duelists of Logic and Astralis can fix this, but it really is reformed in these interesting walls, isn't it?
I enjoy seeing these. It switches up the map, you know? I can't imagine that this Kinetic team practiced versus a team that was throwing a wall like this. It seems that it's, you know, able to set up for a B retake, gains you some mid control, and it does stall that push if this Kinetic team wants to go for it, but just no one's watching it. They don't need to, and it could work out in the end depending on which site this Kinetic team wants to go, but it seems that plan to stack A is just going to be completely foiled.
I think Logic forgot to buy.
Happens.
Which, I mean, yeah, it happens. You know what this Viper wall does remind me of? The Viper wall on Pearl. The defensive Pearl wall.
Right.
Like, it
Being
splits the
half
side up.
led to the retake. And coming in, Spike is tapped. Logic absolutely popping off with all those credits. And it is going to be Kinetic to bring that round over the line. Logic with a 3-piece.
All I'm saying, strategic lack of buy.
And you get so many more credits now into this. You save first round to buy into the next one, so I mean, it makes a lot of sense if you think about it.
If you really think about it, if you're looking on the macro level of all of these games, it's really better if you don't buy on that first round.
Exactly. See, it got full shield and a Phantom. That's extremely worth it.
You almost never see that on anti-eco rounds, and full util too, man.
See,
Interesting.
as long as you get 3 with the classic no armor, no abilities, it's worth it. But it's just gonna be foiled by that. Astralis goes down to a shorty.
Man, KP has just been putting in work with this Shorty all game.
Yeah, but, I mean, if it does get overrun like it did just now, it's not going to be super great. The rest of these Reform members attempting to make something happen. Both of these rifles to go down, though.
Feel
it's-
like
Here.
Logic is starting to heat up slowly but surely.
Yeah, Logic has been having a pretty quiet series so far, and to heat up, I mean, if there's a time to do it, right now is that time. Kinetic, though, winning both of these pistols, but this is really where we see this Reform team absolutely shine, is when these rifle rounds, these rounds that have a bit more strategic depth, maybe, to them than those pistols.
I mean, looking at the minimap here, I like what Reform is doing. I can see the pings out. It looks like they're going to play for some aggression in mid. Looks like they're just holding, but setup here. I think they're gonna pop flash out of that smoke when it's called by Millie here.
Grenade.
Saw that they're up, nading. Ooh.
Trying to come through. The traits do go through, but it's just Kazler. These Reform players wanting to keep fighting, wanting to keep gunning. They know how good their aim is. They know what it's capable of doing. Heals to go through, though. Nature's as was coming in, but it's just... I mean, Lydia's just... Every time we switch over to her position, she is just gunning someone down.
Yeah, even numbers on both sides. I believe with that kill onto Slandy, it's now even weaponry too. Health though is not at all even. But
Could
the
be a massive
timing.
timing. These two players now in a very precarious position. I wouldn't expect to see these two, but jumping through, it breaks the crosshairs, but Astralis and Miara a bit too consistent with it. And just like this first half, they are going to see these 3 rounds won out of Kinetic.
But the real question here is Reform GC, can they make Lightning Strike twice? Will history repeat itself? From the first half to this half, will they be able to pull off another impressive streak of rounds? And like I mentioned before, what I really want to see is some aggression, which you have to take with this double duelist comp.
It's going to be pretty tough. They don't have the weapons I would recommend for them to, you know, win this one, but playing in these off angles in these weird positions is what they're best at. But Millie not quite finding the shot on the first try. Let's take a couple more, but it does make that happen. Slandy, though, having a little bit more success with that Sheriff. Spike to go down, 3v3 retake.
Investing the neural theft on the side of Kinetic here. Manpower may be even. The guns, the weaponry, even the health isn't. Neither is the positioning.
Yeah, and this is the gap in that wall is owning the players from Reformed at the moment. And KP, not the greatest weapon at range, is the judge.
I would love to see how that wall was thrown, because I've never seen the wall land like that before. Looks like KP will just be playing for exits. Could go massive here.
Finds one, and does get traded out there in the end. Kinetic to tie this map up. And really showing them what we were missing out on that first map.
And here really is the kryptonite of that Reformed comp. Like, last year especially, we saw a lot of these double duelist comps with the Astra instead of the Omen, because Astra offers just a lot more defensive value than the Omen does. And this is a very attacker-sided comp, and they got a good lead in that attacking half. But the question here just truly becomes, like, can they bring that aggression to Kinetic and win those fights?
It is quite tough. They need to play aggressive. They need to take those fights. They don't have that Sentinel, so it's extremely tough position. But the timings in this series have just been preposterous.
Enemy kill.
He does find one, so successfully finding it, and just these Kinetic players trying to jump up, close that gap, catch KP when they least expect it, but it's not gonna happen. The numbers now favoring Reformed, and the retake gonna favor them here. I can only imagine though. Kinetic.
Another super interesting wall from the side of Reformed. Here, which I see the idea. It covers a lot. It lets you creep out of heaven. It lets you block off the entrances from sight and from...
Showstopper goes through, does go wide though. And just trying to hold down this site with a judge. It's great at wiping hordes of players, but it's just not gonna happen. What can you do, Millie? It's to go down, but I mean, Lydia has just been in the right position at the right time and doing the most she can, but I mean, in a position like that, 5 players around you, you get one, it's just like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, that was almost so good there. I can definitely see a world where Reform just lines up slightly better. Collateral headshot, that's a win on the side of Kinetic, but that is a much needed win for Reformed here. 4 ultimates online. Handing that last ult orb from the defuse to the Omen is well, it's an interesting call. Most teams would normally hand that to the Sky, but I want to see them try something with this from the shadows in this case.
It's interesting, right? It's a very interesting ultimate to use. It's not super impactful in the round, but I mean, if you use it in the right way, might catch your opposition off guard, but Astralis just closing that gap against KP right as she uses the dash, and a great first blood here for Kinetic.
2 different kinds of guns fired. You can see the effects from the teleport there from Lydia. They know that there are people here.
Oh, so much aggression over towards this B main position, and this is the spike. It does go down, but Yara taking Millie with her.
I mean,
This ring around the rosy throughout this entire map.
what is Reformed really supposed to do there? I mean, look on the other side of the map. You'll find Kazler, you'll find Riv, and it's just terrible.
30
Kinetic are
seconds
taking
left.
their sweet time re-clearing this, which means that it's gonna offer a timing for Reformed to get back onto this site.
Satchel out. Satchel out.
Yeah, no, you gotta go to this P site here. Be crazy not to. 13 seconds left, but you have no blast packs, and it's just Kazler to clean it up, having to walk through that snake bite, but it just makes you so vulnerable to the crossfire there.
Yeah, 10 rounds now for Reformed. Double digits momentum slowly starting to move their direction. Still with the pit online, still with the Blade Storm.
It's looking all up Reformed here. They have 3 ultimates. That Viper's pit, those jet knives, that from the shadows compared to Kinetic just having the from the shadows, so a bit harder to make use of it just by itself. And especially since you are on this eco, it's pretty tough to make something happen, but I mean, give it your best bet, give it your best shot, and it's GC, you can make anything happen.
Nice shot from Millie. They're gonna take some fall damage, down to less than half health here.
Oh, KP.
Rare
Have
miss.
a micro flicking, not flicking correctly.
Kinetic is still down numbers, down weapons, down rounds. See what they can do here.
And this is what you miss out when you don't have that sentinel. Just walking through mid, you'd have to station a player there, but you just sometimes choose not to, and these Kinetic players absolutely abusing the timings they can get with this.
Mid walker not held, and you can see one of the benefits of this Viper wall being tossed is the fact that you can lurk into flowers there from heaven.
The side take going in, Slandy with a great shot out of the air and just cleaning up on this A side. It's all looking reformed, but they did use they used the From the Shadows there, so it's not all for naught. Kinetic at least, getting some resources out of this reformed team, but they're still building up such a great economy into these last couple of rounds of the map and just snowballing their lead.
And you can, sorry, but you can really see the weakness of that Viper Wall there, because it's strong in a lot of ways, but if your opponents are up heaven and you turn that on, they can just lurk in a flower, lurk in a heaven, and there is nothing you can do.
Yeah, it's tough, especially since they don't have that Sentinel. It's not what you want to see happen, but Slandy throwing that Paranoia off of the rope. Throwing this smoke, trying to slow these players down, and successfully making that happen.
Like, Trailblazer coming out on the side of reformed GC here.
Here.
Aggressive op line for KP. Viper Wall, no orb.
Oh my god, KP is just
Op
absolutely
merchant so far
owning
this
it.
series.
Popping off there. Numbers now looking rough here for Kinetic. Swinging in, Slandy taking some damage, trying to TP out, but hesitating a little bit too
30
long. I
seconds
mean,
left.
you didn't really have anywhere you could have gone. Sight take now. Crosshairs aim towards B, but it's gonna be Millie hanging on site. Finds one, finds two. Gets shut down there by Miara.
1v3
That's all.
seconds on the clock.
That's all you can do.
Really the time here.
KP to be the one to clean that up and sending us to this map point match point.
And it's,
Careful.
once again, you saw it a bit on that initial half of this game, but it's a slower start for Reformed as they find their groove, start popping off, start getting more and more impressive timings.
Here.
Looks like
Once Reform gets hot, it's hard to put out.
Looks like it's very aggressive early A pressure, quick take of that ramp area. Pit invested by Riv onto site here, making that super awkward to take.
Just a great shot, I'm telling you. Lydia is like 18-0 on opening picks. Quickly to followed by Kazler. Nistralis sneaking behind her, and a great pitch by these players that have walked all the way up A. You were talking about the weaknesses of that wall, and, there it is.
Mural theft invested. They had to abandon the A heaven control there, but I'm just gonna run to B, plant out in the open.
Spy. Plant.
Gonna have player main there. Showstopper able to be invested here.
These three members, though, we've seen Reformed pull out rounds like this. Look at this Cypher, though. Playing so far in mid and actually opting to go back towards that Grotz position, wanting to play post-plant. And it is Reform trying to get onto this side, trying to do something, but these Kinetic players holding too strong, hand in hand, holding this one down, and there go all the Reformed players.
It's really the time there that is just so painful to deal with. The Reformed roster is certainly having an incredible series so far for the most part. Millie, KP, both names that really come to mind. Logic is definitely heating up. It's a bit slower than one might hope, but all these players hitting such incredible shots so
I've
far.
got your trail.
Sure have. gonna be this A site. Viper Wall does go up. It's not really slowing this push down too much, though. Now Luvili sneaking her way up that ramp, and the spike is gonna go down. 5v5 retake. Jet knives in the hands of these reformed players. Showstopper in these kinetic players' hands. Flash goes through, but a great paranoia from Lydia from the sewer position. And Astralis is absolutely cooking here.
Kazler had Seekers in one here, but with an impressive sight hold, Connector just gonna have shut Reformed out of this round. It's gonna have to be a save from the defense side here.
Gonna have to be a save, and it's looking more like comeback here. Is getting more.
Yeah, it looks like they're definitely slowly beginning to find their footing, but all it takes is one mistake or form two more chances to close out this series. And it looks like the bomb is heading towards this A side, but the majority of Kinetic isn't. To invest the Trailblazer early on with some of that Cypher util, the Trapwire, the Spy Cam.
And now we see these reformed players kind of feeling the pressure a little bit, going back to this 2-1-2, making sure all of these avenues of split are covered.
My ult's ready.
Ray's boombots were traded in B main info, traded out. Reformed going back to that typical Viper wall there, covering the Heaven choke, covering the main choke. There are 3 players towards that B side. Not quite the right read for where they're heading, but the Seekers will tell them everything they need.
Here we are, ultimates being activated by these kinetic players. It is quite far away, but can still deal a lot of damage. Completely open this, and it does find Kazler, making this take so much easier. But KP with a fast trade onto Miara. Sky for Sky goes down. Showstopper to come in. Millie, what can you find with it? Does find Aluvili, and everybody is going down. And it's going to be Reformed to go to the next stage of this tournament, taking Split, taking Lotus.
Defenders
A
win.
13-10 out of these players.
Quite an impressive performance from the side of Reformed, and I just want to once again draw attention to just the stellar performance that we saw from KP. IGL last tournament of the year. Impressive, stellar performance. This is definitely a bang to end off on.
Yeah, KP has absolutely been gunning, been calling pretty fantastically, and just owning the competition. It's only going to get harder from here, but still, it's been a great start in these first couple of games. But yeah, it's just looking at this split game. It was a lot closer than we saw on Lotus, so a little bit harder to call there, but it just, in the end there, did not go the way that, you would want.
And the amount of just gutting timings that I saw of holding an angle, peak Valorant timings, holding an angle the second you look away, someone swings. The amount of that I saw was frankly impressive, but I really do think that it's gutting for the side of Kinetic. I mean, as far as I'm aware, Logic has had a pretty solid tournament so far, but just a single bad game, and all of a sudden you're out. Just absolute grueling format. But what are you gonna do?
It is tough, but I mean, looking at this team of Reformed has looked super great. I mean, all of these players absolutely performing. Kazler, Millie on those entries have looked fantastic. She hasn't gotten the most resources of all time, but still making it work with the scraps of getting in there, at least finding one, if not two, most rounds. So absolutely popping off, and I mean that's what you want out of your duelist there. I'm
Yeah.
curious to see if we have some stats have been updated, and yeah, we have seen going 9-3 +6 on those first bloods. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what you need to see out of that duelist.
Yes, I mean, like stats out there, like you can see the stats yourself, but honestly, we don't uh, like we don't have the exact time here to go in VOD review, analyze everything. But I know for a fact that the people at the desk do. So why don't you tell us a little bit about this?
Oh, I've heard of those people before. I wonder where they're at. Oh,
I do
that's
wonder.
us.
That's
Oh,
us. You're
oh, what
right.
do you know? Welcome back, everybody. That was a banger series between Reformed and Kinetic, and I think they did a very good job. But again,
Mm-hmm.
the KP Masterclass shines through once more. But Zobi, word on the street is that you have a special surprise for us. Now, I've heard rumors, twinklings about it, but I think only you know the real deal.
Yes, so with how stark of a difference map 1 to map 2 was from 13-3 to 13-10, still a 2-0 in Reform's favor, so I totally didn't predict that right. Don't burn me at the stake for psych kick abilities. But I have a round that shows just how perfect these
Oh?
teams were at countering each other in some of these retake scenarios. Namely, it's going to be round number 8, where Reformed is going to be represented by Red on that attack, and the Blue is going to be defense for Kinetic. So we're going to jump over to a little Valo planner sesh with Zovi
Whoa!
from round 8. So what you see here was actually the pre-round setup into this execution. Very well, set plays. But what was interesting to me, if we pause right here, is this mid-round response, right? That paranoia, that play to execute forced all of the players from the Kinetic defense back towards CT, which gave full site control over to Reformed, over to that attacker squad to take the A main space. Now, in the meantime, you can also look on the left side of the map to see how well both of the squads are still working in the rest of the map, even while all this action is unfolding on A. Number one, you have the lurk coming out from Riv. We're going to see the Omen go back over to A main later, but we'll get to that. And for Kinetic, you also have Australis and Lydia clearing out all of B main to confirm there isn't a lurk player, to confirm that there isn't going to be a fake happening here. But if we continue on, you're going to see as this devolves, both teams again, ships passing in the night, re-clearing of ramps to take that space as the A site execute develops. You see the development of that lurk play from Riv and the continuance of that clearing of market and mid, and then in this next image, you're gonna see the fallout here soon. So Spike gets planted, and next, this is the main confrontation that I think determines the outcome of the round. All right, you have this lurk from Riv that was masterfully crafted, but they get timing by these two players in vents, so they get taken out. In the meantime, though, we're not going to see Reform GC just take this. They instead use that as an opportunity to develop their positions. You're going to see Millie push in to screens. You're going to see KP reposition under rafters, and you still have this insurance policy of the Omen of Slandy here in Maine. So if we jump to the next slide, what happens is all of these fights are just going to be one out. You're going to see, Slandy push forward. You're going to see KP take out the double Satchelin from the Rays. You're going to see as well Millie win their fight in screens. And all of this leads to that 2v2 where Kazler able to take out both of the players that are trying to stick the spike when they run out of time. And it just showed Keg to me how much of a chess match this was. Just like all the pieces in place, and it really was just hero plays around the board.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, and I think that was a very good analysis. For me, though, just looking at the pieces on the board, you can definitely see that there were some disconnects from the attacking side, at least in terms of tradability, which was a
Yeah.
big benefit for the defensive side towards the very end to make that final 2v2. But, I mean, look, you got that, the attacker side div there. You're able to defend the spike super well. But A-side split's a very hard site to historically retake. There's a lot of ways you can get
Yeah.
funneled in very easily as a defensive team, and you don't really want that to happen too much. But Zobi, what was that the defining round for you to show who would win it out?
Not at all, because that was,
No.
It was 3-4 at that point, and I think it went to 4-4 actually. So that's one of the first times the game actually was tied, which led to this kind of cat and mouse chase that we had until Reformed clipped the lead, and it was that kind of comeback mentality for Kinetic that ultimately fell short. So I don't really think there was a defining round for me. I think it ultimately, it sucks that Kinetic wasn't able to stage the comeback, and they took advantage of the rounds they were winning to consistently battle out the Reformed GC economy saves. But
It was definitely a lot
at the
closer
end of
than
the day,
map one.
oh, definitely, and it really, like I said, I agree with you. In terms of the KPI gelling was great to get some of these retakes or some of these solid executes into play, and specifically on that first half of the defense, we saw Logic with the operator a lot. And you talked about how it was a little bit segmented for some of the attackers not to be able to get their trades. That because we had Logic posted up on angles out of rafters, out of CT when these retakes were happening. So even though Kinetic is out, if you're moving forward, it shows how you can maneuver around an operator without it being that double-edged sword on a retake attempt.
Do you think we'll see the operator have much more of a presence going forwards?
I mean, KP pulled out an operator on Viper on Lotus map 1 for crying out loud. I think we're gonna see it. Maybe in this next series especially, which we're gonna be seeing Mises Cuties versus Equinox game changers, or I previously knows that I think they're going by Solstice now, partway through the event. I'm sure we'll definitely see some of the Mises squad, maybe Zan pull one out. But other than that, again, I knew this was going to be a banger matchup, and I was not disappointed. I was going to ask you, Keg, if KP makes main event out of this, do you think they're going to keep playing? Like, do you think it's just this series is their last one, or
I don't know.
is
That's
this
a good question.
qualifier?
I could realistically go both ways. I think if even if KP wins main event, I could see a reality where KP still wants to retire, not retire, but take a hiatus.
Mm.
I do know there has been some interest on KP going to the casting desk, so that could be a possibility
Yes.
for the future. So I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunities for KP to even step away from, ending off on a high note and going into, say, coaching, casting, analyst work, a whole bunch of different things that I had to give the lame answer. I don't know. I think it could go really any way. More likely than not, I do think it'll be the hiatus. I think KP has a lot going on in her normal day life too that we can't forget about. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess only time will tell to see where KP ends up after this. But I believe we do go to a small break here. We do
do.
have some more maps being planned out soon and more amazing teams. And of course, a whole new set of amazing casters to come. So don't go anywhere. We're getting things all set up behind the scenes, and we'll see you in just a few minutes.
When the night was closing in, I was alone and so afraid. Couldn't see the light. No. Then my world began to spin. Where's the beginning and where's my omega? Had to make it right. Oh yeah. There's a moment when you know that every teardrop has to go. They be piling up inside. Drop 'em,
tight. Oh, my body's breathing, it's just you and me. Feel my heart, it's beat tight. Oh, my body's breathing, it's just you and me. I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. 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 I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. Feel my heart, it's beat tight. Oh, my body's breathing, it's just you and me. Feel my heart, it's beat tight. Oh, my body's breathing, it's just you and me. I'm so caught in this.
Well, the good thing about GC is that we don't have to wait 8 hours between series. Everyone's there fast, snappy, they want to win, and they want to get it done. My name is Keg, and I'm joined by Zobi once more, and we have two pretty big banger teams going up against each other. We have Misu's Cuties versus, well, they were Equinox GC, but now I've heard they may have had a name change. But let me tell you, Zobi, the real Cuties are the production we have here.
So real. We got our producer, Virus, your AJ, making all this possible in the background. We also are going to be introducing a new set of casters. Thank you to Gemma and Claire for that first best of 3, but you'll get to hear from Ari and Visionary soon. But you said it, two banger teams. C number 4 versus C number 5. Like, this is as close as a matchup as we're probably going to get today, and it's our quarterfinals as well, Keg. And you said that there was a name change. They have found the light. They are now known as Solstice. And they definitely are a squad, maybe some familiar names to you as well. So we have a little bit faster of a pre-show this go around. So let's introduce these rosters for Solstice. See number 5, we have Raven, Elaborate, Sabubu, Melia, and potentially Panini as a substitute. We'll have to see when we get into the game. For Miso's Cuties, they've been around in the scene. They've made it to main event. You know, they were Decimate. Now they're back to Miso's Cuties. We got Carrie, Zan, Rise, Emluo, and Misu. So, Keg, tell me what you know about these players.
I got beef with Zan. I'm not gonna
Got
lie.
beef with
Zan
Zan?
promised that they would carry me in ranked like 6 months ago, and we still haven't been able to do it yet. So Zan, I'm waiting any day now. But
Maybe
no,
they
I
can pay
think
you
these...
back by optimizing your PC.
Yeah, well,
#ZanOpti.
I just got a new PC. I mean, yeah, it probably still needs to be optimized. I'm sure I put some horrible ransom malware worm on it. It was a whole big thing. I hate making PCs. But Zan still owes me to carry. In ranked, but otherwise, I think both of these teams are going to do really well. We've seen, as you mentioned, a lot of big historical results from both teams as well, and none of that really matters here. You still have to win out just as much as the others to make it to the main event, and it's still anybody's game.
No, definitely. And speaking of anybody's game, we do have our map picks and bans ready. So if you want to introduce those tags, we can get a little bit more context as to how close of a matchup we think this is going to be.
Absolutely. Now I have to put on my reading glasses, which is me
no.
just staring at the monitor more. So for the first map, we do have Equinox banning out Icebox, buying what's soon followed by Misu's Cuties. It's weird too because this is 2 series in a row now where we've seen Icebox and Bind banned in unison, which fair, I suppose. But the first map, which was the decider on the last series, is now going to be Sunset. This will be a really big,
Ooh.
fast and punchy map for both teams, and given how fast and aggressive GC teams have been historically, Zobi, this will be a really fun match.
I completely agree. You know, you said you wanted to see Breeze And I agree with you that Breeze is a map where these teams do like to innovate. It's also a map that a lot of teams in GC like to avoid like the plague. So seeing Misa's Cuties lean into that, maybe gonna try and catch Solstice off guard. That'll be fun. I am glad as well that we get to see Sunset, right out the gate instead of as that decider. But I wanna, look back and see how these teams have done on these maps, or if they've even them, because again, Seeps 4 and 5. These squads again played very fast matches, and then they just got to sit around. So we had Mises Cuties play Icebox and Ascent, and that's it this qualifier. Versus we had Breeze and Bind actually from Solstice. So Breeze, they 13 forward against their opponent in their group matchup. So, I think that we're going to have a really close matchup on our hands, Keg.
Yeah, and just looking at Misu's team comps really quick, cursorily, there isn't a lot that's different or really strikes out to me, so I think these would be pretty default comps across the board. Actually, interestingly enough, looking at VLR really quick, the most interesting team comp they have is usually on Icebox, and that is what has been banned out against them. So I feel like their more unorthodox pick is usually their more comfort pick, and Equinox chose to ban into that first, so they didn't have to deal with either a weird Viper Yoru or a Swamp comp with a Hob or Reyna instead, which, okay, fine, that is what it is. So I think this will be a little bit more challenging on the end of Misu's. I think there will be some more uncomfortability that they can't really take advantage of, but that does give a little bit more leverage to Solstice.
Mises Cuties, I agree. They're a team that doesn't reinvent the wheel. They just purely like lean into their mechanical prowess because these players all have that edge in that terms of mentality. But I know like Raven and Elaborate, they've been playing together for a while, so they might have that chemistry built up. And like you said, they might have that edge in terms of compositions, in terms of unexpected strategies.
Huh. So, one real quick thing. I'm looking at the team comps right now that we've seen from Solstice before. This is something I've never seen before in any team doing. A Breeze composition, when we get to it, could very well be a Viper Clove Yoru combo. That is fascinating to me.
I just saw that, yeah.
I would give away not one, not two, but at least 3 of my kidneys to see that comp come out live.
I think it's Panini playing it. I do think that Breeze is one of the best maps for Clove, minus they're not dead yet, their ultimate. It's a little bit harder to get away, to stay alive, to get your frag, but maybe our casters will have more insight on Clove and what they hope to see from it, Keg.
That's right. We're just about ready to get started with map number 1. Visionary, Ari, I'm very excited to see how this will go through. If we get to see the Clove combo somehow on this first map, I think that'll be really cool, but you'll have to tell me the whole story once we're done.
Certainly so, and thank you for bringing us in, Keg. I'm super excited to see it. That's actually a comp that we ran in comp last night, just messing around with my friends. We had a Clove, Viper, and Yoru as the main duelist. So it's
okay.
Yeah, we're mixing it up over on Breeze, but Clove just kind of enables you to cover the whole map with smokes, right? You could do that with Omen, but Paranoia, it's a little bit harder to get value of, right? And there is some high ground that you can TP to on Breeze, but I don't really feel like you can utilize it too well because it's all in open space, right? There's no like kind of cheeky cubby holes like you have on, say, a Split. So I'm excited to see kind of what they're going to be bringing to the table. And besides, I mean, Clove's a dope agent. I'm excited to actually see them get some high level play, except, all my ex Reyna mains out there who decided to start insta locking Clove.
It's also me.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've seen in my games too. And I have to say, I've only tried out Clove once, and it was yesterday in a Spike Rush, but I did great, okay? I did great. So I'm looking forward to see the true capabilities that we're going to see from these teams coming forward.
I'm going to make you a Clove lover. We're going to set up a premier team. We talked about Casters to Masters. I think we'll make it Casters to Masters. 2.
Casters to Clovers.
Clove to Masters. Hopefully we get to see Clove in Shanghai. But you two, this is already going to be a very fun series. I love the energy here. I think this is going to be a banger time, and I'm really excited to see who you two think are going to be the ones to win it out. Ari, who's going to win the series?
Ooh, you know what? I don't like to pick before the series starts. I like to say,
but where's the fun in that?
Well, I know it's like one random prediction. It's not based off of teams. So I like to go with whoever's going to win pistol round on map 2 is going to win the game.
First or second pistol?
The first pistol round on map 2.
Okay. What about you, Vision?
You know what? I'm going to say name change, new me. Going from Equinox over to Solstice. I'm going to go ahead and pick the underdogs here. Let's have some fun with it. You know what? It's my first time on this broadcast. We got to make some shakes. I got to be memorable somehow. We're picking the underdogs. Miso's QTs is a great team. I've watched a ton of game changers and a ton of them. However, you know what? Solstice coming in with Panini today. I'm excited to see what they can bring to the table.
Sweet. Well, it looks like we have a few extra minutes before we get into the matchup. We can keep asking all those fun questions. First of all, I gotta know, Vision, where did you get that shirt, man?
This one, this is actually
Yeah.
American Eagle. I'm throwing
Really?
it back to high school, but yeah, the Henleys I'm a huge fan
Okay.
of, and they're like 2 for like $30. So like you can't really
Really?
beat that. Yeah, they're
Dude,
relatively inexpensive.
I can't even remember the last time I went to American Eagle, but I should again. Most of the time, I just go to shopping on like Amazon. You ever heard of that store?
No, I actually
It's my
haven't.
favorite clothing store.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No, but I mean, going back to Valorant, right, Ari? So you're a little bit less experienced with Clove, right? And I know you've only played them once. Would them being added to the dynamic of Valorant being this post-death smoke initiation, let's say, even though they're not an actual initiator, but they can initiate a lot of fights post-mortem, unlike anybody else. Do you think that's going to change the dynamic in this series if we see a map 1?
I mean, definitely, right? It's not even about what's necessarily happening right at the moment. It's the threats of, hey, there could be a one-way smoke there. We just don't know. So it really forces the teams to play different post plans, I think.
Ooh, very scary. But yeah, I mean, post plans will be different. Again, a large map like Breeze, not going to be the easiest thing in the world, but we did get confirmation that the game is live. Vision, Ari, take it away.
Super excited to be bringing you this. We're already in pistol round map 1, and Ari, I think the biggest thing that I want to highlight here is how important mid control is in general on Sunset. If you get that mid control, you typically can dominate the map, and it just gives you plausible deniability everywhere. And this is going to be a full-on retake. We've seen this out of Sentinels. We've seen this out of just about everybody on this A site here on Sunset. It's all been, hey, we're going to flood in post plant, see what we can get.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? The utility, it's not quite there with these teams running the Gecko, and no, the Lurk is there, though. That's going to be Elaborate getting 1 and almost 2 there. And all of these kills, they're just going the way of Solstice. Whatever happened to that retake, it's completely gone. And now Misu's Cuties have no chance at winning this round, a near flawless round for Solstice.
Well, luckily your prediction is based off of the second pistol and not the first one, but we kind of got halfway through. But I agree with the idea to go ahead and have that retake. You have the Gecko, right? Dizzy over the top. You can get over a lot of places on A site and get some cheeky flashes. You have the Rage. You can go ahead and blast back in. It's pistol round, right? Your movement is your best utility in that scenario. However, it just doesn't work out, and it was that late Lurk. Everybody knows Cypher plays B on this map. Like, that doesn't change. So to not be able to check that left and at least have one member holding that and kind of just let the whole push fall apart, I mean, honestly, it's kind of what bit them in the butt round 1.
I mean, it's kind of a gamble, right? Of, is there going to be that trip in top mid, or is it going to be over towards market? You kind of just have to figure out where the resources are. It's not too much about manipulation of it, as it's a cipher, right? So the mind games, they have to go between rounds, not during the round. And well, you're going to see that cipher be over on this A site. The read might be there for Solstice, as they're starting to work up towards B here with nothing but a KO holding them from a free site.
Yeah, and Dizzy probably not going to get any information here. However, I think, yeah, the smokes are down. This is going to be a full-on execute. Let's get the plant down again. You have the gun advantage. You might as well go ahead and push through, as Mosh going to get utilized here as well. Rise kind of stuck in it. The pre-fire, the unfortunate reload. Luckily, Sabubu going to be there in time to get the opening frag. And now we have a 4v5 retake. Guns versus a whole bunch of classics. And hello, Zelsis doing his job with that same classic you see on your screen.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, that Sun Classic not going to be able to take out much more than one player from Solstice. And yeah, that's not quite the ideal damage you want to do there. You saw them stack towards that A site, and the gamble, it was just off. I mean, I personally like to see that Gecko Flash come out on A, right? That's every 10 seconds. You can get an idea of if someone's going to be in A main. The sneak up, it's kind of tough after that, right? There's not too many timings that can catch you off guard. So I would have liked to maybe see that stack over towards B, or at least being a little bit more proactive on A, but instead the A hit doesn't come through. They make the read, the B site comes through, and well, you saw what happened as a result.
Yeah, and those unbreakable knives are so disgusting as well. This is a great job right here. Oh, the wide swing coming out from sub 3, not able to get much. Oh my God, Zan. Hello, making a 7-second ace. Are you kidding me?
I missed that. Can someone play that back for me? Because what just happened? I mean, That is absurd. That just, okay, I'm gonna keep swinging this. Okay, I'm gonna keep swinging this. Okay, I'm gonna keep swinging this. It's a broken record, but somehow it keeps paying off, and Zan just gets 5 on the round. The first ace of the game. What are you thinking? You think we're gonna see more, especially from Zan?
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Zan is known as one of the best fraggers in general. I mean, like, it's floor, and then it's just about oh my, Marceline, what a swing to start this one off as well. Okay, I mean, that's one way to get it back, but I don't know if they're going to notice this lurk there, and they are. Sabubu and Esub going to go ahead and pick these up as well. And also, Ari, I just kind of want to give you your props, because you said, hey, that Gecko Flash on A, that made all the difference in that last ace, is Marceline's going to be able to find another one, and we're just swinging back and forth like crazy at this point. It's 5v1 in the post plant.
5v1. What are you really gonna do here, Misu? Well, you've got a gun, and you're not even gonna shoot the bullets. You're actually just gonna fall right away to E sub 3. So that will do it in your round, Hopes. But you know, I think there was a little bit of a small overheat from Zan. I think we saw maybe a favorable fight that wasn't taken. Instead, it goes to Solstice once again. The ace tried to continue the momentum, and it got stopped like a brick wall. They kind of just went for that gunfight, and that's not kind of what you want to do unless you're playing off that early info, which they didn't really have any. So it kind of makes sense that was the result, but I do expect them to come back from it.
We talked, especially Keg mentioned, you know, the fast pace of these game changers teams. Well, guess what? We're just ulting out of top mid, and we're going to see if we can find anything. Oh, the timing is great. Zan finds 2. Now it's time to fall back. Don't overheat again. All right, you got to fall back. The one way doesn't cover all of the B site. Dizzy's going to be burned as well. And oh my, this positioning is deadly right now. It's going to be Zan losing their life there to Sabubu. Carry going to go ahead and fall back. We get Thrash being utilized as well, trying to clear out mid. This is a great play from Solstice, trying to bring this back. Just have to make sure that no ones are given up. You have to double swing this and play your numbers if you're Miso.
I mean, that's a lot of utility. They're trying to take this flash, and they will do so. Rise! Hello! Take advantage of the util, and then use your gun to shoot him down with the rest of it. So, beautiful, beautiful play by Misu's Cuties there. But, you know, the question is, can you really rely on all of these beautiful gun plays from Misu's Cuties to win all 13 of these rounds? Or, you know, will the slow play that Solstice has been dominating on going to maybe catch up to him here?
I think we kind of just got to feel it out as we go, right? Because we're also talking about a double initiator lineup for Miso versus Solstice, who only has one initiator and running that double controller, right, with the Clove. So it's very interesting to see kind of the different dynamics, and that's probably the reason why Solstice is playing a bit slower too, is because, hey, we have double smokes. We can kind of throw off both sides, default a little bit, see if we get that pick, see what comes from it from there. So door's going to be broken here. Little jump spot going to be found over there, and Market. Not much found. There's a nice little angle over here, and Wise is just continuing to frag. However, there's the ultimate. Guess what? We're back alive, but we have to find the frag almost instantly, and look at them playing together. Oh, this is deadly right now. Just trying to chase it down, and Esub, I am sorry. It was nice knowing you, but you're going to be falling.
Yeah, falling, but look how much space that was. You saw all of those green players from Misu's Cuties. As soon as that ult was popped, you saw all of them beeline it for their spawn, which gives up a crap ton of space, allows for Solstice to get the site. The question is that a worthwhile trade that you're going to want to make? Sure, you got all that space, but now you're in a 4v5. Well, we'll see if it pays off here as the fragment grenade is used. Sabubu getting blinded by a paranoia, but Raven's there to take down one. That's traded out a little bit in a different angle, as the pacing will come on in. Here comes the flashes, and yes, trades more and more, but it's just down to Elaborate getting spammed down through the smoking, revealing the location, but gets one. That's a really big pick. The tap is on, but this player not quite aware of if they are sticking it. And now the tap comes down. The 4 bullets is plenty, as Elaborate will bring Solstice to a 2-round lead.
And losers of life, but hey, 2 rounds, you still have enough econ to go ahead. This is going to be another rifle round for just about everybody, and I think it's really just comes down to the violent swings we've seen on both sides, right? It has been no even rounds except for that one there. It's been 5-0, 5-0, 4-0, and or 4-1 as far as kills go. And as we continue to see that, we're going to continue to see these flips as both teams kind of get decimated. This gun round going to be extremely important here. You have the Guardian on carry on that Gecko. 6 assists already in 6 rounds, by the way, and I think most of it was off that first flash when we saw Zan get the ace.
Yeah, that's very true. And it was the second one was off of the mid pressure with that KO popping off, quite getting at 3K as well. So it's just funny to see, right? The util play, it's quite good. But once it comes down to those mind games, that's where you see these teams start to slip up. You see how much space that Misu's Cuties have taken towards B main, but what does that mean for Solstice? Well, if everyone's in B main, we're gonna start making our way up A, and well, Emulo is gonna be able to just hold that space and spawn as the spike will go down without much resistance.
Yeah, making our way downtown, walking fast, faces past them, we're homebound on the A site. However, the retake is going to be coming in quickly. We're going to see Elaborate here on the lurk once again. Okay, able to bring it back. We're going to see E-Sub here, taking some shots. Zan trying to enter up onto site. Tripwire going to be hit. Marceline falling as well. Zan's been able to find 2. Can you find 3? The answer is yes. Is it 4? No, it's going to be E-Sub. Last player alive, taking down Wingman. Opportunity, and Raven, the double swing. Going to be able to eliminate. Oh, I'm sorry, that was Rise. It was all E-Sub right there. Excuse me. I'm seeing the KO pop up on the bottom. I forgot he was downed and ulted.
I didn't even see that ultimate be used. So yeah, that that was a little costly then, right? Momentum, it goes in favor of Solstice. He's had some ultimates used by Misu's Cutie, and well, this is starting to look like Solstice. I mean, they had the momentum early, but they're running with it, right? They had some hitches every now and then, but that's just Zan for you, right? If Zan cannot have some crazy miraculous play that just wins you the round, they're kind of stuck, and you know, you might not want to rely on your 12-6 duelist to win you all of these games.
No, I mean, you certainly don't want to rely on your duelist to win you all the games, right? There's no potential for you to win every single fight you take as a duelist, especially when your primary ability is kind of taking that space, right? You're not talking about going ahead and being able to just ace up every round. Obviously, Raze has the ability to kind of cascade everything, but we're also going to see the Neural Theft being burned here just to get an idea. And again, that double smoke lineup kind of allowing that plausible deniability. We get the early pick mid. Where are we going to rotate off to? What are we planning on doing? And we see them leaning towards this A site once again, where they've been very successful so far.
I must wait a moment.
Give it a little bit of a kiss to the camera, you know? Just having some fun. Showing what the face for the camera is, but let's see if there's a play that's worthy of being on camera. Nope. Marceline will go down, gets donked by Zan, and Zan good for yet another with a showstopper, looking for a third and gets that one too. You want 4? Have some more. Looking for all of the value in the world, and Zan, no way are they giving Zan the ace. They're doing it. They're giving Zan the ace. No, they're not. Steals it right from them. Oh, you hate to see it.
I mean, I don't hate to see it, to be quite honest with you, because Carrie did somehow guesstimate where that teleport was going to end up, right? Omen Shrouded Step to try to avoid Thrash, and Carrie was like, hey, guess what? Nope. Popped it on the side that you're teleporting to, and it worked out. So good for Carrie getting that one, and I know most of these players don't care about aces too much, but 16 kills on the side of Zan is actually ridiculous. I also wanted to go ahead and note that Sunset so far has been just slightly attacker sided on the spike.gg right now. 51.7% of rounds going in favor of the attackers. So Solstice jumping out to this lead, not really a huge surprise, but oh my Emulo, make that 3 yourself. E-Sub gonna find one with the classic. Neural Theft gonna be burned for one individual.
Well, I mean, it's one of those ultimates that you can, I guess, keep recycling, keep getting back, but there, maybe you wanted to save it for the next round, as Rise will sure clean it up, but a little bit costly. 2 guns down, 1 ultimate, and, you know, you were saying this map is attacker-sided. We see that in the score line, with Solstice being up on top, but maybe the Soul, the Sun, will start to fade as Misu's Cuties might get their groove here. It seems like their bullets are just landing, and it seems like whichever team plays a little bit more aggressive than the other just ends up winning.
It's kind of funny to see that, but when you have those pace changes, right? And I think Solstice here is planning on going fast, right? We've seen them kind of default out and use that double controller lineup so far. I'm excited to see what they bring here with this change of pace and if it catches anybody off guard, but we're seeing instant rotations coming out right now. as Zan in just a disgusting spot. Some nice little information gained. And oh my, the Rosa. Going to be able to find two is Esub, who's going to go ahead, pays their life for it. And yeah, can't get out of dodge either. Raven now a 2v4, and this is just bullying at this point. All the utility. We see the spike down as well, and Elaborate not going to have enough time here to really get anything done. Stops the defuse, doesn't stop much else. Somebody else pops back on it. Going to be able to find one.
Imagine.
2 HP. Are you going to be able to find
Imagine.
more? Oh my, Elaborate, you have a chance of a lifetime right now. Are you going to get it? Oh my, and it's shut down, and that was way too close for comfort for Misa's Kitty.
Just imagine the world where that happens, right? Not one, not two, not three, but 4 kills through a Cypher cage would be absurd. Stopping that plants, I mean, at that point, you have to kind of blame it on Misu's Cuties, right? That they just keep falling for the same trick over and over and over. But they do manage to win it out, right? They equalize on up, and now you have somewhat of an eco buy, once again, a Shiko buy, as people love to call it, as, you know, Solstice, they're kind of playing for a 6-6 even half after being up a 5-2 lead.
It's just been the fragging individual power that we've seen out of Misa's Cuties. This really made the difference here, right? Like, we've seen 3Ks off the rip. Anytime the pace tries to get changed, it's just been taken advantage of. And Solstice has kind of paid the price for it. And we saw, of course, the Sheriff kills that came off of Zan's back. Like, there's been so many moments of individual brilliance that's really kind of brought Misa's Cuties back into this. So we get another hard default here. A lot of mid presence being taken up tile. We're going to see if Marceline can find anything here with this Marshall. This is going to be the opportunity that you're going to want to find right now. You find that opening pick, you have the chance to snowball it. We're also going to see the paint shells being thrown out, but not much found. Look at this crossfire on A, though. This is going to be deadly if they decide to peek this.
And just in case anyone is confused and is, you know, maybe following along with this GC scene, Esub is Panini, for those of you familiar with the players, but as we get back into this round, you're going to see Carrie invest that mosh pit, and that's actually a lot of value, but Misu can't land the shots. That's a rough one. That's a gun donated, and now another as well, as the trade is made. This is looking very, very good for Solstice, as they have numbers advantage, pinching a raise on the site. Can Zan do what they have done so often this game? Yes, they're good for one. Stopping the plant, deciding not to just quite yet. Now finding that problem solved, and now look at that, the defense is flooded on in.
Oh my, they're flooded on site. This is going to be so dangerous. QT, Emilio can't do it. There's Sababu going to be taken down by Raven, but it's going to be Zan in the same exact spot. Didn't move at all, and able to find that frag and put Misa's Cuties up 6-5 here. I did mention, just according to all the games that have been played on Sunset, right? We're talking about 918 total games in the pro scene, including GC and the highest levels. I mean, slightly attacker sided, you get one more here, you end up 7-5. You're probably feeling pretty good about yourself, especially noting that you have that double initiator to kind of cut through the double controller lineup of Solstice.
918 games. Wow, that sounds like my loss streak in competitive this act, but
You're savage for that.
as we get into this next round, you know, you see Zan trying to get that showstopper online. Raven's going to be in for a tough one. And yeah, Raven, if you just get ulted right off the bat here, you're going to be very, very sad. That's the smokes down. That is all kind of pushing potential down to just playing it 4 picks, playing for that default. And well, you see a little bit of contact up towards mid, and it's Marceline, good for one, not expecting the second, but there is no push through, and Misu's going to opt to get on out. A dodge will get detained, but far enough back to where the protection is there. And as Issa walks forward, and as these players make their way forward, here comes the execute.
I mean, the execute is coming, but you don't have anything on site, and you're just going to get annihilated from it. Raven's going to be able to find one. Can you find a second? The answer is yes. 3v2, numbers now in favor of Solstice. One pushing out. It's going to be Rise able to find one in Amulo as well, as this is cut down to a 1v1. That overheal is massive. Literally saved the headshot right there, but Emulo going to get another, and it's going to be Visos Cuties up 7-5. I just wanted to note, by the way, before coming into this game, that both the round 2 matches, since both these teams had round 1 buys, they were both won both maps 13-4. So both teams' total spread is currently 26-8. I just thought that was interesting.
I mean, it's interesting, but it's not going to be what we're seeing this series. No, sir, as we have not a 13-4 in sight, right? Both of those teams above 5 rounds, but I mean, Misa's Cuties, they really brought that half back. There was no timeout invested, nothing. They kind of just found the groove. And, maybe that is some just adapting in the calling, so to speak, or if it's really just them getting stronger, being warmed up today. And we're going to see what their attack half has to show for us, as they are once again, like you said on the first pistol round, they're going to be working mid here.
Yeah, and it's kind of the vital spot, right? And you also heard door closed early, so you have that space for free. You can go ahead and just kind of do what you want. I'm sorry, I thought I heard the door. Apparently, I think
they broke it.
Or hearing things. They could have broken it as well. As the wire's going to be broken, there's Dizzy coming out. Everybody's blind. Everybody's trying to fight. It's going to be Raven getting one. Oh my, how many bullets do you have to put into the Omen there? Carry's going to find the frag. It's now going to be 3v4. Make that 3v3 as Panini. Able to find one, able to find two. Can you make it three? The answer is yes. Panini popping off right there. Good old E-sub 3 as Imlo trying to get something done here, playing in tile. Now at 2v1, you have both opportunities, but only 6 HP to work with.
6 HP and waiting out that overheal, but now E-sub, it doesn't matter. No overheal needed, at least for the final kill, as that will be a 4K on the round. So what's the theme of today's game so far? If one of your teammates can get a 3K or a 4K, you win the round. So, I guess just goes back to the old Bren quote, right? It's an FPS game. You gotta just shoot him in the face and you're gonna win.
Utility doesn't matter when you get shot in the face. It absolutely doesn't. And we're seeing both teams just kind of trade blows with it. I like the buy coming out here. Aggressive, 2 rifles, 3 specters. Not really holding on to that, hey, we're gonna lurk around with that ghost and kind of keep it held on to. We're going to see early flashes coming out from both sides. Dizzy's both going to be blown. Here's Marceline here looking to take some damage down. Okay. Yep, that is it. That's all that was required. They run into the beautiful Spectre and the actual rifle that was purchased, and that is going to be wraps on that round. And from the exact same spot, the only difference is a single swing versus a double swing. Both teams just getting exterminated.
I mean, that's how eco rounds should go, right? In theory,
I
on
wish.
paper, that's how they should go. Where you have 2 players that are holding a crossfires, not too much utility to kind of withstand, so they just hold the angles, and, well, the flash goes through, and both players, they just start shooting. And that's what happens. We saw a 3K, a 4K would have been the case, but not enough bullets in the clip, so that will bring us into this coming round, but Zan's getting domed by a sheriff. Hello, Marceline.
Marceline says what's up. Rise gets 2 instantly off the trade though, and very aggressive here. Oh my, the showstopper going to be able to find one as well. Solstice down to 1 individual member. It's going to be elaborate here with a bulldog. Knows that there's a lot of presence mid, but this is going to be a rotate over to the A site, knowing that the Cypher has not been seen. Just kind of gambling that they're going to be on B, and they're going to be correct. It's going to be a site plant and a lot of space for elaborate to clear solo.
Honestly, I don't mind the use of the showstopper there. Ideally, your teammate doesn't end up falling, and you can have a 2v2 here, but on a round like this one, giving any sort of chance for Elaborate to bring this through, maybe pull through a Thrifty or at least this bonus conversion would be really nice. And here's Elaborate, spots out the 1, doesn't spot out the second, but now here's both of them, 9 bullets and 1 kill. The classic is a good full blind, will not get it. So Misu just barely squeaking by for Misu's Cuties.
I mean, it's massive though. Look at the economic difference now. You're going to have Solstice buying up full rifles into this buy. We're going to see a lot of half armor. We might see some bulldogs. We might see some stingers. It's going to be curious as everybody's kind of trading out and making sure that they can buy up. Light armor everywhere. It's the perfect time to have a Phantom. However, we're not going to see a lot of them on the side of Solstice. Going to see if they can bring out this round though, as Miso's Cutie is going to hold on here to this 1 round advantage. I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of both these teams though. The ideas, the execution, it's all great, and making it a very expensive, basically bonus buy as well. So good job by Solstice there, just able to keep it up.
I would like to see an outlaw here, four light shields. You may as well just find an outlaw, hold mid instead of leaving the trip there, but maybe that read wasn't made, or maybe they just decided I'm stupid and they want to play their own game, which is fair because they're the ones playing. I'm just the one yapping away. As we get underway into this round, you're going to start to see that group up towards A main. It's going to be a bit of a gamble hit, right? No crazy information known other than the, traditional guess that Cypher's on B. And Well, Marceline's going to feel the first blow of this attack with E-Sub, but the paint shell a little bit late to capitalize off it. Here we go. E-Sub's kind of running away here. Not going to be quite able to get out just quite yet. Full blind, no blinds. Everyone's blind. Nobody can see. It's pitch black. But what does it be now? It's Raven. Raven, it's good for so many kills. And E-Sub going down for the second time. All of a sudden, it's just down to Elaborate once again. Somehow gets one through the smoke, but a 1v2 deja vu for you. And Elaborate is not going to clear elbow first, so we'll go down. Misu's Cuties looking strong.
Yeah, light shields didn't come back to haunt him. A lot of low HP, but you're able to survive, able to go ahead and buy up this round as well. And for Solstice, it means you're probably going to be forced up onto a save, kind of relying on that utility. And I think it really comes down to what we're seeing. Like, Miso's Cuties are just kind of disrespecting the smokes, right? Like, you see that one way, instantly Cypher Cage, we're going to push it anyway. We don't care. You get the combo utility with Dizzy, and then Thrash being used so you can go ahead and clear out Elbow. We're just seeing them play off each other extremely well on attack, where it seemed like a lot more individualistic on defense. And it's interesting to see the dichotomy of both those teams kind of able to do that and able to switch paces and kind of the style of play depending on what side you're on.
I think for Misu's Cuties too, they had the plan, right? They were selling a fake on B with nothing but a KO knife, which is a lot to kill down that anchor. But Marceline, the anchor of A site, has just been calling everyone's name, taking them down, writing them in that death note, if you will. And look at that, right? The Rays player is just popping off today.
I mean, it's not a surprise knowing how good Marceline and Zan are, but Jesus, I wasn't expecting to see this kind of destruction out of the Rays here, just off the rip in map number 1. Is Misu gonna go ahead, smoke off top mid, give them potentially some space to take more control here as we kind of see the lurks around. Raven kind of looking to just get a tiny little shoulder peek. They might get spotted though. That's the one thing I'm worried about, and there it is. Okay, so you have the information that they're probably heading over the direction. Imlo gonna go ahead and pop the wire there as they kind of progress. They're actually going to go through this, but oh, the Dizzy going to do some work here. Oh, but the Paranoia is actually going to come across the other side. This is going to be, honestly, everybody was blind on both teams, and now the pivot over to B.
The trade of util big, but remember, they broke that trip over towards top mid, which means they know there's not one in market. That's going to allow for all of them to flood on through. They were hoping to get that Cypher, but, well, they just get the bomb down instead. However, they are in a 5v3 scenario, not the best favorable one, and that trip is still up B main. So all of these players know that there is either someone all in B or in market. So here it comes though. Look at that carry. Emulo, how are they getting everyone? It was a 3v5 and now it's a 3v0. Hello?
Yeah. I mean, part of that is gun diff, right? We did see sheriffs. It was a lighter buy for Solstice. The other part of that, though, you have to be able to trade more effectively. You're flooding out. You have the opportunity. You have Wingman out. You have Dizzy out. You have to push off that utility. And the crossfires of Misu's Cuties just completely destroyed it. I mean, they're really taking over this attack half. We're about to see them flip up and change pace again. And this is looking like it's going to be a very quick hit towards the A side.
I mean, I like it, right? Solstice, they've been kind of predictable on that A site with their defense. You have the Raise Clove and the Gecko Flash, and now with both of these ultimates coming out, this should give them a relatively free site. If you spot someone, you just invest the showstopper, and that's what happens. Zan, good for one, is gonna try and get out onto site, but E-Sub is sticking with this. E-Sub Panini wants to keep going through with this game. Try and contest this fight, but it will not matter as Sabubu will at least be good for the first one. But there, now finally to trade Sabubu. You gotta get out of that mosh pit, homie. You're not gonna be too happy with that result. But it's Misu's Cuties now in a 4v1, and they kind of got the upper hand out of nothing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was also a null command invested, and because of that, you're not able to get any of your stopping utility. Nothing's able to be used on the side of Solstice. This is a save, and I don't want to be that guy, but I kind of wish we would have seen a few more of these coming out, right? Just try to be a little bit smarter about it. We've seen, obviously, a ton of opportunities that have been closer 2v1s, 1v3s in the favor of Elaborate, and the Cyphers trying to bring it back. It's not going to happen here, though. 4v1, good job saving the rifle, but it's going to be 11 now for Misu's, and that's getting to the number where it's going to be harder and harder to come back from, especially when you know you're probably only going to have one rifle this round, maybe two if Marceline decides to buy.
You know, I mentioned that I said that they got the advantage out of nothing there, and what I do mean by that is, you know, it was a 4v3, 4v4 really, and when that showstopper came through, and I do think that there should have been some trades. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to, right? You got to get that first kill on the board, and it's just not happening for Solstice. Whether that's the first blood from Marceline that seemed to happen every other round with a Sheriff somehow miraculously, or whether that is just getting those simple trades. Your first player went down to that showstopper. You couldn't do anything but just fall back and kind of gamble on maybe hiding in the correct corner.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, obviously you kind of want to trade off utility there. We're going to see the pop flash plus the dizzy coming out, but it's going to be a good job to hear by Raven, at least getting one, but the flood on B site is here. You're going to be able to read it. Oh my, Raven, how are you still alive at this point? Get another one for your effort. This is wild. Holding their ground is Raven trying to get out. Are they going to get out with their life? They are. They lived through this, but Imlo going to just decimate two, and all that effort that Raven pulled off is going to be for naught, as you're going to see Thrash burned here as well, and it's basically going to guarantee the site and the plant here for Miso's Cuties.
I feel like every time we've seen Thrash this game, it's just been Raven running away every single time. Just getting to chained in some random spot too far away, but you know, this bomb is planted for spam, so this is going to be tough for Solstice. They kind of have to aggress into that. Otherwise, they're going to have to gamble a stick, maybe with a smoke, but they opt for both the one-way and the spike stick, so that is a certain play to maybe force some pressure, but carry just good for the shots and putting Misu's Cuties now on map point.
It really comes down to, again, like you know there's three alive, you know where two of them are, you've spotted them out successfully, so where's the third? Like, to not check market in a scenario like that, or have one try to wrap market before you go ahead and go for that crunch with the smokes on spike. It's just little tiny errors. And what's the craziest part, right, is like I can't even sit here, like my ranked games, I lose a ton because of stupid decisions, right? But at the highest levels like this, those are what make differences in games, and we're seeing it happen right now. Miso's QT's just effectively trading better and able to kind of come out and just make sure that even though they're at a disadvantage, they're using the right utility to flood off site and play off each other and still make hits dangerous even when they're down numbers.
I mean, you remember how that first part of the round started off, right? Solstice had some great kills from Raven, just getting a crap ton off of some B aggression, but then maybe they stay too long. Either way, Marceline getting that first early pick towards A, which is traded right back out by Zan, getting information somewhere else, but the neural theft will provide for this plant to come down, and well, that's going to be as good as you can get.
4-person retake, but you don't have B main control, right? So this isn't spammable. You're gonna have to, I just want to see what Solstice is gonna do here. You have the paranoia. Okay, here we go, starting it off.
Oh,
that's so unfortunate, and luckily we're gonna see Panini able to pick one up. Now make this a 3v2. We have Zan just kind of lurking, checking market, making sure. Have the two been found from main yet is the real question. And the answer is going to be no. Raven's able to flood out and get one. Here's Carrie. Do you have the shots? The answer is no. The time is going to be there, and Raven is going to keep Solstice alive in it for now.
I mean, Solstice, they had some unfortunate moments there, but so did Misu's Cutie. So, you know, fair enough, right? Both teams trading mistakes, and as much as you can't rely on your enemy's mistakes to win these rounds, we have seen them be the determining factor for a lot of them, right? Whether it's an ult that just doesn't find its mark, or somebody not aware of certain positioning. But either way, something I do want to talk about is the fact that Solstice is doing a great job of pace changing their defense, right? Not just saying, okay, our Cypher's playing B and we're playing passive. No, they're aggressing sometimes. But I want to see them capitalize off that gain space after they maybe get that first initial pick.
Oh, and I mean, there it is. The Cypher utility is down. Expect the flood to go ahead and come out. They're going to do their diligence, right? And make sure that this is cleared out, but it has been there. However, you're going to have the wires back up. You're going to secure the orb, and we're going to back out. And hey, guess what? We have a couple people on A. Nobody's been too aggressive. We have a couple people just lurking mid. The site is going out to a default for what surely a hit like a B hit off the rip.
All I can think of is, how are you going to trade this raise, right? If this raise gets pushed over on A, you don't really have any sort of defenses holding anyone back. Now, luckily, they do realize that the paranoia, when it comes through, will not make a trade happen because no kills are found, which is honestly the best scenario that could happen for Solstice, right? They should not have gotten away with their lives there, but instead they managed to, off of really just some awareness of, wait a minute, we don't really have a lot of A space. And they make sense of it, and they realize, okay, let's maybe not fully commit into that A main hold.
Yeah, the poking and prodding obviously still happening right now. Marceline here with the Guardian. We're going to get Thrash coming out. Okay, well, there's one. Do you get out? Marceline is somehow alive. Is the backup going to be there in time as the flash comes out? The answer is no. Carrie's able to find one. Going to find the second behind the box. Good paranoia. Going to go ahead and delay a little bit more time as well. Only 18 seconds left. You have to push this here and now. Raven's going to be able to find one. Sabobo, it's going to be so vital as we're going to see Wingman coming onto the site. Going to be shot down. But Carrie able to find a third on the round. That's down. There's no time. But Misu, oh my, the swing, the double swing, gonna save them from the collapses of defeat by the timer. Misu's Cuties gonna go ahead and take map number 1.
Yeah, we saw what was a great lead by Solstice at the beginning, but it ends up being Misu's Cuties that take this one home. And wow, well played. I mean, especially to both Rays players, right? We saw some beautiful moments from everyone on that field, but it was the gunplay that was showing to be the outstanding factor.
And that's kind of what it comes down to sometimes. It's just that firepower, and Zan is showing why they're one of the best people in the entire game changer scene, right? It's literally that simple. So map 1 down, we're definitely going to have some analysis, some more things. Of course, we have Zobi and Keg. Should be coming back to you here shortly.
It's a good thing.
Well, I would sure hope so. What a really entertaining first map there, Zobi. I mean, it was a lot closer than we saw in the first series. We had a 7-second ace, which can be a long time, I suppose, sometimes. But, I mean, it was just theatrics one round after another. But we got to break down some rounds, don't we?
I mean, it was so close.
Oh, no,
so
Zobi.
back.
We've lost you, Zobi.
Oh no. Oh, it's
Zobi.
just, don't worry. I'm on broadcast. You just couldn't hear me. Fear not.
I'm always afraid.
You don't have to be. I promise. I'm here. Just like Miso's Cuties was in that second half. I mean, from it being a 7-5 start to a 13-8 W on, mind you, Solstice's map pick. Again, you said it. It's going to be the ball in Miso's court since we're heading over to their map pick on Breeze. But I do want to talk about kind of what I was seeing, particularly in that first half, and why I think it's just going to start skewing more in Miso's favor. It really felt like their defense was either Zan, go kill, evidence, 7-second ace, or it was just Emluo holding their own on these sites or in these clutches. I mean, I literally would look up at the monitor and it was either Emluo in a clutch situation or Emluo fragging on a site, completely shutting out an execute from the Solstice squad. But talk about surprises. We thought we were going to see Clove on Breeze. We saw them picked already on Sunset and Panini. Definitely was delivering, right, Keg? I mean, Marceline had a little bit slower of a start on the attack half, but it didn't matter because Panini was alongside them, was playing that more aggressive controller position, exactly what Clove's kit is designed around, and that's ultimately what allowed them to get those 5 rounds on the board so early, and I'm hoping we get to see that similarly over on Breeze.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Sunset is Clove's best map by a country mile. I think soon Ascent will probably take that first or second spot as well, but we'll get there when we get there. Sunset is so good because, again, it's a punchy map. You do gunfights first, utility second. That is the importance of Sunset because space is everything on this map. There's not a lot of verticality like there is on Split. It's not as wide and long as Ascent can be, and not as many nooks and crannies, but Sunset has that wide open mid, has very small spike sites. There's a lot of opportunities to take very crucial and very early gunfights to your advantage. Perfect for Clove. So now, post-mortem, you have all these different smokes you can bring down to control entire half of a map. You really can't do that on most other maps of this game. So having the Clove is super important, but the most impressive thing to me from Miso's side was that we saw so much coordination. The gunplay was amazing, yes, but the coordination that we saw, especially in those final rounds, was so important to me. What we had seen in round 19, I'm not a numbers guy, I don't know, but it was, I believe, number 19. We had seen this big array, this big battalion defense coming through from that singular Omen, holding down the B main stairs. Cyber Cage's route, dark covers in the side, so much firepower going on. The quick thrash to the quick escape from the Omen. But then what happened was the attacking team decided, we don't have to just fight B main. We can circumvent everything by taking more mid control. And lo and behold, a lot of tunnel visioning from the defensive side means, hey, we're not going to be having any mid or market side defense. Perfect opportunity to go for an attacker sided crunch, and while it didn't work out in their favor, it was still showed how important both macro level communication and singular player to player communication was for the team.
And I'm glad you brought up, macro level communication and how it can influence this decisiveness and coordination from Miso's cuties, because it's going to be that much more important tenfold on Breeze, because I've seen a number of mid defaults just end in chaos where you don't know if you want to commit to the A or the B site, and when they are going to be running this kind of composition that's the double controller, but you still have a Sentinel of Elaborate, who we've seen as well can hold their own for the Solstice squad. It's definitely going to be hard to pin down. I mean, especially with Marceline as well. Likely going to be playing the Yoru instead. So the Gate Crash, you're not going to know what site they really are playing on for that defensive approach. But I also want to jump back to what you said about Sunset being Clove's best map, because we are expecting Panini to play Clove again on Breeze, and it's like the complete opposite in my mind. A and B sites so far apart, it's going to be hard to get that same value from the smokes, and even getting to safe positions to ult from, or I guess dismiss from the ultimate to get back into the game, it is going to be that much harder. So what do you want to see out of Panini to ensure they find the same value?
It's tough on Breeze, right? Exactly what you said, because Breeze is such an open map that if you die in, let's say, mid, right, you really don't have a lot to smoke off, realistically speaking. And you have to think about the timing of the round of when your Clove goes down too. Is it going to be at the end of the round where the spike is down on B and your smokes can only really smoke double doors and A site? That's on the other side of the map. It's not going to do anything. So if I had to take the best guess about why we could see a Clove come out without having seen the footage beforehand, I would say it's mostly down to being a comfort pick. It's one of those picks that where you want to just fast execute, you don't really want to default too much, you're not looking to play for split pushes as much, maybe have them be the lurking smoke, sell the fakes maybe. There's just a lot of mind games and trickery that needs to go on if you bring a Clove on a, I would say, not opportune map like Breeze. So I hope we just get to see a lot of pop-offs and maybe some post-death smokes, but I think a lot of it just comes down to the singularity that you can find without having much reliance on your other teammates using Clove.
I agree, and that gave me the idea. Maybe we'll see a lurking Clove. I mean, we know Panini can hold their own and find the frags on those lurks, but then maybe, pop some ruses and still a site execute ruse all in one while you're using that toxic screen, that Viper kit that we're likely going to see in conjunction with it to truly execute towards the opposite site. But we're gonna have to see that after a quick break, okay? Because the players need a breather, casters need a breather, we as well need a breather. And when we come back, it'll be map 2 of our quarterfinals between Misos, Cuties, and Solstice.
Hello and welcome back to the official unofficial Game Changers cast. Visionary and Ari coming back to you. We said they needed a break. Didn't seem like they needed too long. They want to get right into Breeze.
Well, I mean, for one of these teams, they're looking for it to be exactly that, a breeze. They're trying to get this over with, Mises Cuties. They wanna take this 1-2-0 and be done with. Go home, take a nap, right? But instead, They got a tough team opposing them. That's right, it's Solstice, and well, here comes the execute. No time for yapping, just all of the action. Just waiting for the Viper Wall. You can wait for the Viper Wall. That's fine, but here comes the swing through. Never mind, screw the Viper Wall. I'm gonna swing right through it and elaborate. We'll get one, but a trade found elsewhere in the map.
Yep. A good back and forth there. Nice trades coming up from both teams. As it's kind of the fake towards B with Zan to go ahead and get that space on A. Unfortunately there, Raven going to fall. Good Dart going to come out, ping quite a few as Elaborate playing this just rat angle for the most part. Getting wallbang for their life though, as Carry's actually close. Look at all the health right now going to be found. It's going to be up to Sabubu. Not going to be able to do it in the 1v3. It's going to be Miso's Cuties getting off to a strong attack side.
Yisu's Cuties, right? Well, there's my prediction. There you go.
Yeah.
What did I say? Whoever
Yeah.
wins the second map, first pistol round, is going to be your winner. So there's my prediction. Yisu's Cuties, right? Could have been anyone, but there you go. So I think I'm in a pretty good spot right now.
I think you're in a phenomenal spot, noting that they have a map lead as well. Right call, Ari. Right call.
This is why they pay me the big bucks to predict pistol rounds maps in advance, right? I mean, it's a skill that is so tough to have, right? I'm totally not guessing.
Gigabrain. Absolutely. I can't even deny it at this point, as we're going to see the early push out here into elbow. Okay, I mean, I'm liking this. Are you going to be able to catch the timing? You are. Marceline going to be able to make Zan fall, and there's Rise and Carry getting the trades. Raven going to get one right back, and hey, a 3v3 making this anti-eco expensive already.
Yeah, Carry cannot swing that one, but now has to swing these players. Actually goes down to the Classic. That's really, really big. That's costly. But here you go. Now Emluo gets one with the Bulldog. That is massive. And now it's a 2v2, right? Both of these teams need some sort of advantage, but either way, it's still costly for Misu's Cuties.
It's super costly right now. We're seeing the jump spot coming out. Not really able to find much as the Sheriff is going to be there. Raven just kind of crutching on to this Vandal. Can't even say I blame them. Misu now going to go ahead, use that drone, be able to spot one. Spots both. Okay. Get some good util. Going to go ahead and burn that Recon Bolt as well. Shock Dart coming out, but spammed through the Viper Wall. Time running low though, and the timing is just so good right now. But Imlo going to go ahead and pop out of this. Are you going to be able to find the kill? Can you find the frag? There's no time remaining. Imlo finds one. Imlo finds both. Going to be dropped though, so every single gun off of that anti-eco going to be lost. Solstice does a good job of damaging the eco, but does not damage the scoreboard as it's 2-0.
I mean, this is a lot more clean, though, as we saw, right? Solstice, they're doing a great job improving on the one thing that we hammered into them map number one. What is that? Trades. They need to get those trades, and it seems like they are there. Of course, that final fight, they should have had the trade. It's just gun diff, if you will. That's the advantage of the round by the economy buy. And, well, going into this third one, they're going to have some guns online. They should have themselves an equal chance, but Zan is just a demon dashing up straight through mid.
I mean, the flash obviously helped that a ton. But yeah, Zan just doing Zan things. And oh my, Elaborate just able to get one for free, make it two for free here. Not able to get three though, as Misu was able to drop one. Now we're talking about a 3v3. Sabubu back here on stairs, so they can be able to get any value out of this position. They're going to be spotted by the drone instantly. Going to have to go ahead and bail as well, as the counter drone comes out immediately. Rise looking for these swings. We've seen them go huge in positions like this. The spike is going to go ahead and be dropped as Misu is pinged. Shock Dart's going to be used. Double swing. Okay, 1-for-1 trade once again. 2v2 now. Zan doesn't have the frag on Raven. Now that 1v2, they've noted where Rise is, but Rise finds the first one. Are you able to find the second? The crouch swing coming out from Raven, and Solstice, even though again it's expensive, they are able to find round number 3.
I mean, an expensive second round buy versus an expensive bonus one. Which one's really going to pay off more? I do think that for Misu's Cuties, they're going to be happier with doing a lot of damage on a full buy to Solstice with something that, you know, had maybe not the best weaponry. I don't think they forced up completely there, so they should be in a good... But, oh boy, right? Misu's Cuties, they got that 2 rounds, at least the 1 round lead, but no ultimates, right? Solstice, they have one. It's their neural theft. So that should ideally, you know, win them the round in terms of map control. They just need to isolate that first pick, which I guess, may be their problem. Oh, look at it. It is a sheriff buy, by the way.
Yeah, it is. So, I mean, going into it, they kind of did buy up in round 3. They kind of tried to assert that dominance for the most part. We're going to get the KO knife, elaborate. You're going to have that Bulldog on Marceline as well. Going to go ahead and get out to the B site. I mean, you have to get out of dodge, but you're so far away from supporting your team now after this flood comes out. There's Panini with 1. Can you find more? There's 1. Issa going to be able to find another one on top of elaborate. Sabobo being dropped immediately. And there's the 3K. Finally, Panini makes themselves known here in this one. Going to go ahead, get those 2 and notch this game up. And Ari pulled the stats up again. Just wanted to let you know, Breeze is actually the most balanced map in between attackers and defenders currently in the pool. I would not have thought that at all.
Wait, you said in competitive pool?
In the competitive pool right now,
Are we
in the past
talking-
90 days, 50.2% attack, 49.8% defense win rates.
Is this VCT and like high
This is
gameplay? Or is
VCT,
this...
challengers, and game changers.
Okay, I was gonna say that is not a competitive stat in terms of your ranked games, because we all know what you're doing on A attack or B attack. You're just throwing that Viper wall, you're going in. Obviously, these teams are not doing that. They're taking their time, making the correct decisions most of the time, and they are doing what they do best, shooting their bullets, getting those nice clutch plays. And well, this is a drone into spawn. This is really interesting, but they get the reward for it. Look at that. Issa will go down early.
Yeah, and I mean, just so much space trying to be taken there. And don't get me wrong, I don't disagree with the play, but now the north stuff's going to be burned. And this is where it gets interesting, where you decide to hit after this. Look at the positioning and the posturing right now of Solstice. 1 all the way on the backside of B. They're kind of guesstimating that this is going to be an A hit, and it looks like they're correct. And they're actually going to fake it out with a dart. This is going to be massive. Look at the flood onto the A side. And now it's literally going to be just Raven alone right now on the B side, having to play retake with the rest of her team.
The shots landing, but no headshots, so that will be no kills falling here. As this bomb, it's not quite down yet. You might need to prioritize that, as this flood, it might come in earlier, right? You don't want to have the flood go all the way to B main. Everyone can play post plant, but Marceline doing a great job of stalling that one out. The Guardian picks up 1, and oh, they're aware. Yes, Raven will get the Molly kill onto Mduo, which is really, really big. But Rise invests the null command there. I think it did go off, so that is big. That's not going to be a kill. Zan can't do anything either, and Sabubu somehow pulls this one out for Solstice.
I mean, that's a huge retake, though. We're talking about a 4v5 retake, including taking care of Rise, because that positioning was disgusting, right? Lurking all the way back up elbow after the plant goes down, and you're only able to find 1 there is just so rough. And you are correct. It was burned. So the null command completely offline, getting rid of a huge ultimate as well, as far as at least getting onto site, right? Or holding off that retake if it comes down to it. And it's just immediate there. Solstice looking good in the first half again. However, after what we saw last time, it took Misu's Cuties just a little while to warm up, right? And really get used to how Solstice was playing. It's going to be interesting to see how this second part of the first half goes, just due to that, because of what we saw on Sunset.
Misu's Cuties, they seem to have that advantage when it comes to just brute forcing it, and they're going to try and do that here with their eco buy, as they do manage to get 2. I guess on an eco buy, you sure do want to play those closer angles over like that B ladder area. So the dimensional drift will be used, trying to find some sort of equalizer, but just information that is gained. Oh, teleporting all the way back over to the A site has a ways to go, as little do these players know, but they have a 3v2 in their hands. They can maybe win this one very, very fast if they just get 1 kill here.
Yeah, it could be over. Oh my, I don't know how those shots missed, but Panini trying to do some work. Right. Oh, the collateral! It's gonna be Misu with the Guardian and the Hunter's Fury. There's 1. There's a second tag. Are you able to get a third? The answer is no. They somehow avoided it. Dart coming out right now, but the pre-fire is there. Gonna find 1. Misu finds 2. Misu clutches it out with 15 HP remaining, and that is massive to tie this game back up.
I think there might have been a little bit of whiffage there, I'm not gonna lie, but, you know, it's okay. That's what happens, right? Misu does a great job using that Hunter's Fury to buy time. I mean, very traditional play, but that's the one that they had planned to make, right? With Misu being so far away in the distance, and with this being an equal 3-3, right? We might still see that 13-4 that these teams do know and love, but what's this lineup for? What do you think?
Revealing area.
I think that's just a basic B lineup. It's going to take a couple bounces and, oh, actually it's an A lineup. Okay, just a very basic throw it over the wall and see what happens. This is a very close lurk right here, and Zan is going to be able to find that entry frag, but gets traded out immediately. Again, Panini, and that's what's been so great about Solstice so far this game as far as improvement wise. Like you mentioned, those trades are finally coming out and they're playing off each other a little bit more.
Ironically, you know, you have Misu's Cuties trying to play aggressive off the start and then slowing it down after first contact is made. But usually that result of that first contact is the Yoru either getting a kill or going down. And, well, speaking of going down, there's Mluo falling over towards, I believe that's, I don't even know, is that Halls? Or, no, that was B main, I think. Something like that. But either way, Solstice, they have the upper hand in this round. It's going to be really, really tough for Carry to even get this 1v3 even close, because you got to cross this A site. Good luck with that. I mean, is the play just a save here with Bomb in the open?
Looking at their money, it might be, but I mean, they're going to go ahead and progress on out, give themselves a chance to at least get the spike. Okay, little tags coming through, 40 damage clipped away from Carry. However, still have to deal with 3, trying their best to isolate these gunfights. Here's one isolation, going to be able to find it, the flick, but it's going to be Elaborate. Knocking down and taking care of business. This is going to be Solstice up 4-3.
I wanted to talk about the pacing. You know, I mentioned with that Yoru getting that impact early rounds, and yeah, sure, Marceline may not be doing too much, you know, maybe as compared to, say, Zane last game, going, what was it, 12-6 in the first few rounds, but, yeah, you know, the weakness for Yoru is time, right? That is what it is. Those gate crashes, they're going to fade. They're going to dissolve. And that will mean that you don't have that fast rotation ability. You don't have that get out of jail free card. So maybe if Misu's Cuties kind of reverse their game plan of playing slow off the start and then hitting fast after that gate crash has exploded, maybe then they'll get that upper hand that they are desperately searching for.
Yep, and I mean, look at this. Just site given up entirely. Full retake scenario, but it's actually a fake once again. Look at the bite by Solstice here. Nobody is on the A site, and finally, Yoru realizes, but we're going to get that Viper's Pit. It's going to be there. It's going to be committed. So Plant is going to drop down here, and here's the opportunity that you want. I would have almost 5 people playing in this thing right now. Everybody that's alive, pack up. We are going to be living in some toxin. As Imlo going to try to stay alive here in that corner. One's going to get tagged out by Sova as well, but Elaborate's going to find another frag.
I mean, this is the round to do it, right? It is that she go by, but oh boy, all of the kills just going in favor of Solstice. The fake was good, but not good enough, as it actually just allowed for Solstice to group on up and take the fights as a unit with their gun advantage. And on paper, that's going to go in Solstice's favor, and it does. They get a 5-3 lead. They have their own Viper's Pit to use, but Misu's Cutie, they used a lot there that round.
Yeah, they're going to have a buy this round, but you're only going to have a Neural Theft available. I really like seeing this wall out of Raven as well, just kind of cutting off that site, allowing them to play that retake on B. I mean, it's something that's always seen at the higher level and never at my level of rank. So seeing these kind of new ideas come in, right? Because you see a lot of that wall kind of covering mid, given some plausible deniability, may be able to take some space. Seeing this here and seeing just the gear up for yet another B rush is not really a surprise. However, with how many times they have lost on this site, it's going to be interesting to see if they decide to go through with it if they don't get anything marked down.
I mean, it seems like the B hit, it keeps coming through, and they keep getting on site for free, but it's that post plant that's struggling, right? That advantage, it's not happening. So it seems like they're playing around the Cypher very, very well. They can get onto that site, but the post plants, they're never in their favor. They can't get the early pick, which I feel like is that big thing. Oh, the gate crash is there, but the blind actually is a self-blind as well. Here's the clone. Domes the clone, has to look away, and Zan will fall. That's not super great. The mid lurk also taken down. Now you got everyone playing spam from main. Good luck with this. It's going to be really tough. You got some mollies, but the half, it's almost there, and it is. It will be converted on, although the molly does get one, but Misu also falling, as now it's just down to Rise. Rise can't get the spam and now has to salvage kills. The running gun, it's not good. The classics, well, good for one, but the round is over. Too little, too late. Misu's Cuties will fall to a deficit of 3.
But we've seen this before. We saw this in map 1. It was the exact same thing. It was 5-2. Now we're seeing 6-3. I'm interested to see what Misu's kind of does differently here, because it doesn't seem like their attack is as cohesive as it was on Sunset. Obviously, part of that as well is just the wide open spaces you have to deal with and the less effectiveness Util has because of it. But it just doesn't seem really there. We're not seeing the trades coming out, and we're seeing just, honestly, Solstice continue to do work as Zan gonna check this, but only half checks it. Marceline's gonna be able to get that early entry frag, tries to get 2 and does. You're gonna have to bail out of this one. Somehow stays out with their life. 20 HP to their name. Gonna go ahead and swing this as well. And Misu gonna go ahead and take care of that as Sabubu takes out Misu. And we see this again. Oh my, the Raven's gonna get caught now. Here's the opportunity you're looking for. Null Command gonna be burned. B-site essentially free. But Cypher playing far enough away to be able to get that trip at least onto somebody. They know that everything's there. They know that the spike is down. It's gonna be a 3v2 retake.
I would have liked to see maybe a little bit of a push up from the KO. Maybe not committing their life to it, but just maybe trying to tag out that util, suppress it for a little bit more. But it will be this 2v3 retake. Rise once again needs to make a play, and it has to dry swing through. Does get 2. Looking for the last one, but it doesn't matter. Amulo will steal it. That one, a great round by Misu's Cuties, but it's just, once again, the post plant that is the determining factor.
And it's going to continue to be that way as long as Solstice continues to just kind of play off site and be willing to give up that space, right? And we noticed that time. It's not even really a mistake. It's just unfortunate. You get the headshots. Everybody's low on the side of Misu, but you're not able to go ahead and convert those frags. And once you lose the first one around that corner in the smoke, everything just kind of goes to hell afterwards, just for the sheer fact that both other people are focusing on trying to get to that spike. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here on this save buy. It's going to be a very early snake bite combo with that shock dart. Going to find almost nothing out of it, and the B site also going to be cut off by a Viper's Pit, as Misu going to be able to find another opening frag, make that 2. Panini falls as well.
That's big. We see the early aggression come out fast, and oh no, surely you don't just, oh my, well, Raven not quite aware that Zan's just kind of chilling there right outside the Viper's Pit. Some sort of gain of an advantage needed to be made, and well, that wasn't quite the play that it needed to be as well. You got a 5v1. I love to say this. I feel like it's becoming my casting trademark, but good luck with this one, homie.
It's Elaborate's about to just get wrapped from the back. No, actually not out of elbow just yet. Oh, and they've been spotted now. Here's the spam. Here's carry. That is shut down. And again, the 3-round lead begins to dwindle again for Solstice. I don't want to say it takes a while for Misu's to warm up. I think they're really just trying to get a gauge of how Solstice is going to play this out. And once they have that read, everything kind of flips on its head.
I don't want to say what I'm about to say for fear of jinxing it, but we did see map 1 the first half. What did it end up being? 6-6. That's all I'm going to say. Solstice had a lead. Misu's Cuties, they were down, and they brought it back. Maybe it happens this time. Maybe it doesn't. But either way, the scriptwriters, they might be getting lazy here as they are running out of ideas for how these rounds can really go, as the scoreline might continue to be the same.
I like the idea of taking aggressive space here. We have the Jet obviously up in tube, just watching with that operator. Marceline here with an operator of their own, just trying to make sure that nobody crosses mid. This is a very precarious position here for Imlo, right? You have the opportunity to make a huge impact if you find this Yoru. However, it's just so hard to peek when you know top mid is available, as well as Zan actually getting aggressive with this op. Are you going to be able to find the frag? And yes is the answer, as Elaborate is dropped.
The operator at least good for one. Let's see if the other one can maybe mirror that value, right? That Yoru walking down mid, but this is going to be a lot of space that they have to take here with maybe not a lot of time that they can react off of it, right? You see this B site empty. Once again, it seems to be that common theme, and with the execute coming out, it will be a very free site. No resistance, just about how much util are they going to waste without knowing that there's anyone there, and it looks like very, very little. Oh, this Viper's going out for lineups, it seems like, or at least playing from main, so this is really, really strong for Misu's Cuties. They have the Hunter's Fury as well. This should be, on paper, their win easy peasy.
On paper it should be, but you have Marceline here just trying to be a menace to society. Going to use that clone as well. Going to be up close and personal with his operator. Are we going to get to see the no scope? We're going to get to see the scope.
Collapse.
Here's the shorty. It's going to come out. Esub finds one as well. You have to deal with the post-plant utility though. Imlo going to be able to find one. Sub actually going to come back up. Imlo finds Raven this time as the push coming out right now. There's Esub with one. Marceline with the other. They do a great job of covering each other, and it's going to be 7-5 this time. Solstice comes out and clutches the round on the back of Marceline, doing work with that op and shorty.
I mean, Solstice, I don't think they're a fan of English class because they heard about my paper and they said, teach. No, they ripped up my paper. They ripped up the assignment. They said, we're going to make our own scripts. And here we are in a 7-5 half with Solstice taking the lead. But Marceline, that's a big shot with the operator. If that doesn't collapse, right, that shorty might not take the kill. That's you going down. That's a trade you can't get. Additionally, I mean, there's so many more problems for you in that round. But well played. What a half. How does this one differ? As Solstice will now be on that attack. I believe this is their map pick too, so they should have some sort of strats to go with this attack.
They certainly should have the strats. It's going to be interesting to see, of course, what's going to be brought out. And I believe, I'm just checking it out, actually Team B. So this is Misu's pick. So Solstice lost theirs. Misu, if all things hold true, going to lose their map pick as well. Hello, Marceline? Can we make sure to check that before you just go ahead and blow on insight? That's crazy, but Solstice now down a person.
Well, a little bit costly there. Maybe the flash didn't go out or something like that. Maybe a misclick, who knows? But either way, Zan not misclicking on the heads of their opponents. Instead, we'll get one. And, well, it looks like Elaborate also taking that space through mid. Look at that. The trades. Esub will kind of be stranded with Spike over towards mid, but look at that positioning. The double swing is there, but Carrie's going to be forced to not peek that, or at least delay the peek just a tad longer, as now the 2v2 becomes the result. Esub is going to push forward here, playing aggressive. Might be a little bit of a strange decision in a 2v2 here, but either way, Carrie is good for one. And Rap now not spotting the final player early. It's down to Panini, and Panini will get Pano-Node and denied. That will be Misu's Cuties taking the first pistol round. Well, I guess the only pistol round of the second half.
Yeah, Misu's doing a good job, and they have won both pistols on this map. And we know that pistol rounds typically convert into success on a map, more so than they don't. So it's going to be interesting what Solstice does, knowing that this is probably going to be a tight up game. Again, on paper, you can tell me I could end up wrong, and you know what, Solstice, prove me wrong. I did pick you guys this map, so go ahead and win this eco here. But on Breeze, ecos are a little rougher than usual for the most part.
A little rougher than usual, but I still feel like either team has an equal chance in this game right now. Of course, if on, I mean, I said it before, on paper, if Misu's Cuties convert this one, you'll have a tie game with both economies relatively even, but I guess the paper hasn't been right before. We might see some wild card. Maybe that wild card is Panini. No, it's Mluo, and Mluo is good for 2, Rise good for 1. Misu's Cuties doing what they've done.
Yeah, Spike is also down on the entrance of site, so this is going to be even more difficult to go ahead and kind of press forward on. Rise not able to land the shots there. However, this being a 2v5 and being at the gun disadvantage that you are, continues to make it more and more difficult as Misu's going to be found. And hey, there's Elaborate. Couple shots going to come in with that Marshall. Not going to be able to find it over Carry. It's going to be 7-7, and the paper got an A this time.
Okay, well, it seems like the midterm might not have worked out, but the final exam got him in the end. Well, I guess, well, maybe the final exam is the final round of the game, right? Maybe it's map 2 final round, map 3 final round. But either way, right, these teams putting up a great fight, and it looks like there is going to be some sort of, I guess, buy that's being forced up, right? Oh no, it is about a half buy. Okay, but you're still seeing like an outlaw.
I mean, knowing that those light shields are probably going to be used after the util and the Marshall was bought, you said it before, it's a smart purchase, right? Especially on a map as large as Breeze. It makes life that much easier for yourself knowing that you only got to get a body shot.
I get to see my outlaw. Yippee. I asked for it earlier.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. It's such a ratty spot. Such a ratty position. Oh my, Esub! Oh, Esub gets out with their life somehow. Oh my, that was precarious as all get out, Ari. That was crazy.
I mean, it's funny, right? That Hall's push, it's always a gamble, right? You get one piece of hard utility, hard information in there, and you could be losing 2-3 players if they're all in there. It's kind of just a gunplay battle in Halls. But as the push moves over towards mid and the slow down, the pacing, it's a little different. But Zan working past this. Zan might have a timing here. Oh no. Oh no. Domes the clone gives away the position, but nobody, nobody looks. Oh my gosh, nobody looks. Sabubu goes down.
I'm so confused. Words aren't wording right now. The Outlaw's the loudest gun in the game. Like, it's louder than an op. I swear to God. And nobody turns around and even checks after their shot goes off. Like, I know the Your clone gets shot, but you have to know the angle that it comes at. It's got a giant trail of smoke behind it. That's a costly mistake right there for Solstice.
I was expecting a very comedic, like, Spider-Man meme moment where it's like everyone's pointing fingers at each other, and you're gonna see that Solstice just kind of whips around their heads and they spot the operator, but they don't instead, and Zan will get one kill very early. That's a bonus round conversion, and this is how they want their half to go, right? They fell behind early in half number 1, but right now they're going strong as they have got it. The Misu, I guess the namesake for Misu's Cuties, has already picked up 1 this round.
And Misu's been activated so far, I think, is the big thing as well to note. Didn't have a bad map number 1 by any means, but did have, that opportunity to go ahead and make a difference here, and they have been pretty well. Sabubu looking for some damage, not gonna be able to find it. And that's the only downside to that Outlaw right there, is how long it takes to reload. Is that shot goes right over the head. It's just so ridiculously close. As Misu, look at how much space they've taken over here towards 2, but Zan gonna be tagged. Are they gonna know that one's all the way up here? The answer is yes, but the shots are not landed. Misu gonna take down Raven.
I was gonna say, Misu, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't jump through that hole in the ground. Don't go for it. But instead, just investing utility down, which actually is a little bit of a better trade. But look at that. Still gets a tag on one, gets the kill on the other. Zan gets one on Sabubu, and now it's just that Cypher that was tagged out in mid. The positioning is known. Don't you forget about that. I have a feeling they're just gonna run them down.
Oh, the timing is atrocious. However, shots aren't going to be landed. All right, get the propeller out. Propeller trying to do work here, and it's going to take a rise. We get by with a little help from our friends here, as Misu's Cutie is going to be able to notch it up to 9. 9-7. Now, again, this is Misu's map pick, so seeing them succeed on defense isn't a surprise. However, Solstice just needs to clean up a little bit of communication.
Yeah, I mean, the communication, it feels like it's off. I feel like, especially, too, Solstice, even those tiny things, like if there was maybe a turnaround when that Sova drone came out through that Hall's area, I feel like there would have been some sort of an attempt to maybe turn around, break that or something, but nope, just gets tagged by it. Might have gotten wall banged through who knows what. But either way, Misu Cutie's looking a lot stronger on this second half. But as I say that, Zan will go down with that operator. Big piece of gunplay down.
I definitely love seeing that Outlaw dropped, as we're going to see Panini here trying to get a little aggressive. We're going to see the orb going down. Nice little one way, as well as the molly coming out. They're just going to push through it. They don't care. There's the clone to start off with. And here's Panini going to be dropped. Going to go ahead and use that ultimate as well. We're going to see the clone shot here. Isav going to be dropped by Rice again. And oh my, Emulo again. I mean, it's just frag after frag right now for Misu. They're just winning these individual gunfights. As Elaborate has an op. I love Cypher ops. This is amazing.
I'm going to need a replay to see if that was just the one that was picked up over towards mid, or if they're just actually bought that one off the start of the round. But either way, Misu has a dart here. Could invest it if they're going to be swinging, but they know where the players are. Instead, it's a flash, and Misu looks at it a little bit too bright for them to maintain. Oh, no. Oh, no. Surely there's not a knife kill, right? Okay. Well, at least the guns are used, and Elaborate, good for at least one more. Brings it to a 2v1. Still very much doable, but has to kind of get over to that spike. And, well, the jump shot, not going to be the most accurate one, as Rise will pick up a third on the round. Bringing, how many is this straight for Misu's Cutie?
I believe this is 5 rounds straight for Misu right now.
Wow.
It was 7-5 half. Solstice was able to pull out the last round. So Solstice has not won anything on attack yet. And here comes the timeout. I think it was something that is well noted and well needed at this point, because obviously their plans and what they're doing on attack are not working at all.
Yeah, and I have to apologize. You know, sometimes when you watch some games, you just kind of watch it from one team's POV. You kind of tunnel vision towards, okay, well, this team needs to do this, 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 this. But you don't actually look at how the other team needs to react to it or how they need to kind of counterplay that. So I guess for Solstice, right, something that they might want to do is isolating that early pick. They were doing a great job being aggressive on their attack, on their defensive half. So why don't they kind of mirror that same strat, go for early A main space, early B main space, and then cut noise, figure out where they can push their advantage. After all, Misu's Cuties do have to come to down. Maybe you just hold that aggressive space.
You got to do something different, right? And I think that's a great recommendation. They've been able to find those frags. We're going to see elaborate here on the Vandal for now. It's looking like an almost complete sheriff buy, so I think they might trade that out, or we might just play follow the leader and see if elaborate can go ahead and get that pick. But I think you have to just see kind of more frags and more overall impact out of Raven and Sabobu right now. I think with them being as low as they are, I mean, I don't want to call anybody out individually, but unfortunately you're just not getting the frags that you're looking for right now, and it makes things difficult. There's a big swing though. However, Emulo going to be able to find one. Here's Rise fighting for it, and we're going to see the Hunter's Fury burned as well. It doesn't really matter. 3 people dropped instantly, and it's looking like 7-11.
As much as I don't like that Hunter's Fury being invested, elaborate with a knife beak. Well, that one maybe not quite ideal, but Misu, good for their one as well. Misu's Cuties doing a great job, right? That was an eco round. Solstice, kind of the plan was on that eco. Well, we have to be aggressive, right? Play together, you play strong. But Misu's Cuties, they said, we are also going to play together, and we're also going to play strong. And you know, the worst thing that happens is we get traded out, we lose a little bit on the eco. However, Misu's Cuties have so much money in the bank, they can afford those trades. So it was very, very unpredictable from Solstice. A great play by Misu's Cuties, and that's a great pace change that I think caught them off guard, brings them to 11 here, and I think it could snowball to 12 just based off of how much it scared them.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing this, and here is a great play right here, though. You have Marceline going ahead, getting that initial information. Elaborate's going to be able to find an operator shot as well. And actually, the cage is going to save their life here from being spotted at a very minimum. Oh, Marceline runs out of time. Oh, that's just so sad. And here's the pick. Yep, elaborate. All that space taken mid. Obviously, sight and bomb already down and taken, but this is going to be harder and harder as we progress up. 3v4. Here's the opportunity. Going to be shut down by Zan as Panini gets traded out immediately. Rise with another trade, and Raven turning this into a 1v2. The double swing going to go ahead and take care of it. Misu's on match point.
Misu's magical match point, indeed. I know you didn't say that, but it sounded fun. It was fun to say. And I think that they are very happy with the situation they're in, just in terms of ultimates, in terms of kind of everything that's going on right now. Sure, you know, Zan might not be having that pop-off game that we saw last time, but that's the beauty of their roster. Anyone can pop off at any time. And this map, they're not relying on 3Ks, 4Ks to win them rounds. Everyone is doing their part. They're all using that utility. Both initiators have an insane amount of assists. Granted, one's a KO, but sure, yeah, it's really, really good from these initiators. Emulo's popping off, and really everyone just doing the part. The space making, the locking it down. That's all you could really ask for. Solstice, they're just feeling unlucky right now. What? They get off to a good start this round.
I mean, Zen kind of just giving that one out for free. I mean, I understand wanting to poke and prod and make sure that they're not able to take space. Are they going to check Misu? Oh my god, the bait from Misu is so perfect here. Peeking out a tunnel just to buy you some space. It's beautiful right there. The shock dart going to be landed as well. This is going to be a lot of damage onto Sabomo. Are you going to be able to get out with this? The answer is no. Misu. And Rise finds another one with a spike. There's Emulo, and I think we have hit our time. Hero theft being used. Good shot from Raven, but needs 3 more to keep them alive here.
3 more, 4 more. What's it gonna be? It's only one, as Misu's Cuties will take this one 2-0, bringing Solstice their hopes and dreams down in defeat.
Luckily enough, this was, you know, an upper bracket match, so Solstice will still be alive. Definitely excited to see the rest and what they're able to do there. It just seems like it kind of fell apart on Breeze. The attack just wasn't there. The defense side was definitely solid. but just not able to kind of pull it through. And it almost looks like a repeat of what we saw in map number 1.
Yeah, I do think we saw Solstice being a lot stronger towards that. I believe it was their defensive half, but they just couldn't bring it through to the swap, right? You kind of have to run with your momentum, and I think their aggressiveness, it died down, right? They didn't be proactive. They played a little bit too reactive, and it ended up catching them off guard time after time. Again, the fights just went the way of Misu's cuties, and that's what just brought them to that 2-0 victory.
Yeah, I love seeing the dichotomy of style, but I also know somebody else who probably loves seeing the dichotomy of style as well. It's going to be Keg coming in and joining us. Keg, obviously you just watched the same thing we did. I'm definitely excited to... Hey, there you are, buddy.
Bit of a tech error right now. I'm sorry if I talked over any of you. I can't hear you two in Discord right now, so I'm going to do my best to translate through all the mouth movements you two make, and I will do my best. So, what a great game.
Well,
it was awesome to see. Oh, that was Womp Womp. I caught that one. Right? Am I speaking Ari Castanese?
We can't hear Keg
can't
anymore.
hear Keg now.
Okay, well, it's
Keg in
fine,
Discord now.
You know what? I am a world-class linguist. They call me the greatest Englishologist that there's ever been on this planet, maybe even perhaps more than one planet. But one thing I can tell you is that Misu did a really good job as a team, and I gotta say they looked really coordinated. Ari, what was the biggest takeaway from that second map?
I like balloons too. I think that's what you said.
I love balloons. I love
Fascinating.
balloons. Definitely some of my favorites.
Mm-hmm. If I knew what you two were saying, I think that'd be great. Apparently it's on Discord's end.
This
Oh,
is
they
actually
can't hear
beautiful,
me
though. I'm not
now.
gonna
Yeah,
lie.
apparently
Like,
Discord's
Keg,
having a lot of
you
issues
look gorgeous.
right now,
I love your
so
background.
Go back and watch the pod. You'll see something's happened. So, I guess we could just throw it away to me.
I agree. Zan did pop off.
It
Just went
happens.
crazy.
Here,
What
we'll
was
try
your
refreshing
biggest
one more
takeaway
time.
from the
Zobi,
second
can you
map,
hear
Ari?
me?
Well, I'm gonna have to say that it was the battle.
You can't hear them either. Nobody can hear the
It was
casters.
the battle of the
they have to
duelists in the
reload.
first one.
Okay.
It was that pacing in the second one.
I know.
That's my
they
biggest
they
takeaway.
just hear madness right now, whoever's watching this stream. It's just nothing. Okay, we have an interview with Zan in just a few moments. Don't go anywhere. We'll try to solve this madness behind the scenes and get Zan on here. But we're going to go to a small break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Blind devotion, empty notions. Like a roaring ocean, slow in motion. Lay down your troubled mind. We are only kind and will kindly cease to be.
Welcome back, Welcome back, everybody. We have an amazing guest here for our interview segment. We have Misu Cutie's 7-second winner. We have Zan. What's up, Zan? How are you? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So I think the first and most important question is, when are you going to carry me in ranked?
It's
I'm
got to be
waiting.
soon. It's
Yeah,
got to be soon.
I've been waiting since December.
We gotta get in on that, man.
Yeah. What should we duo as? Are you going to be duelist like that Raze you were?
No, I'll play Breach.
Breach? Yeah. Okay. Here,
Play
I'll
Breach. You go
be.
Jet.
A breach. Let's say I will be. What's the worst possible combination with a breach? I'll be like a
ISO.
Yoru, an ISO. Yeah, I'll be an ISO. You know me,
Oh
world's
yeah.
greatest fragger. But no, in all seriousness, right? Like, GC is definitely some high level competition, and it can be really scary to kind of go through the motions, getting up to the main event. I mean, so what does the prep like going into an event like this look like? Or like, what are the nerves like, and how do you settle them?
Well, hmm, I don't think there's a lot of nerves right now because we're kind of going into this and we're pretty much like points wise. I think we're already making main event, and like we're just like okay, let's just get like top 8, top 4, whatever. And so now we're just kind of like having fun, and it feels a
Okay.
lot better to have fun, like actually not sitting there and like stressing over every little thing makes it so much easier to play because we don't have to sit there and just get mad if we're losing certain rounds. Like we're just like I was meowing, we were barking, I'm just like yelling strats. We're having fun. It was a great time.
What gives you a better buff, meowing or barking?
Definitely meowing.
Meowing? Okay, okay. I'll have to remember that. But so if you're not stressed right now and you feel good going into the main event, at what point in those main events does the nerves really set in? Like grand finals or like even earlier?
Earlier always. I mean, I think nerves are good though. I think having a little bit of nerves is always good. It's just not letting it get to you. It's understanding the people that you're playing against and allowing those nerves to kind of just flow through you, I guess.
Okay, okay. Do you have like a technique or some sort of like ritual for yourself or your team that you use to get rid of those nerves?
mm, no, not really. We eat
Just
bananas.
meowing and bananas?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with that, I suppose. So, talk to me about that 7-second ace. Like, I don't think I've ever really seen an ace that fast before outside of like my rank game. So, like, was that a big like motivation booster, or was it just like
Oh yeah,
another
I
round
was
to you?
flowing that game. I was just everything was hitting, everything was shooting. I was not losing that game. After that ace, I screamed so loud. It was bad. But no, I almost whiffed on the first person, and then Carrie or Rise had thrown a flash, and I tucked, and then they're just all flashed, and everyone's just on the floor, just ownage.
Nice. And you're probably just in the flow state at that moment, right? There's probably
Oh,
not many like
100%.
conscious thoughts going through your head.
I mean, I was consciously like tucking back from the flashes. I don't know how. I was like that game. I'm usually really not the best at waiting for utility, but that game, like I was playing off of it so insanely well because my flash player Rise knows how I play, and she knows that I am just gonna fight, and she'll just yell, "I'm flashing."
I mean, you've always been a really good player, and I'm so happy about the games I've been able to cast you in the past. So, let's say this doesn't work out well for you, this GC event, and you don't make it that far, let's say into the main event, or even win out the whole thing. Are you planning on sticking with your team longer now that you have like this kind of extra buff with more utility to back yourself up with?
Um, Definitely gonna stick with Carrie through thick and thin, but
Oh yeah.
I can't say much right now.
Okay. 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 Sounds like there might be some interesting prospects in the line, but I won't delve too much into that. Maybe for after the main GC event, we'll have to get together again and carry each other in ranked and see what those prospects look like. Zan, you have a lot of fans, you have a lot of enemies out there when it comes to GC and Valorant, esports as a whole. What do you have to say to everybody?
Um, I don't know why people hate me. I'm really nice, but like, you
Everyone
know,
hates everybody. It's esports.
you know, at the end of the day ends, and I really don't give a shit what a lot of people think.
Fair.
I'm
That's a
just
good way
kind
to.
of I'm just playing the game.
Yeah, I respect that a lot. Zan, thank you so much again for the interview. Hopefully, the first of many that we get to do together. And good luck on your journey heading into the main event of GC. You and your team performed amazingly, and I can't wait to see where your career comes off here from next.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. We will queue ranked at some point, I promise.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Zan. And I
Thank you
believe
for
from
having me
here.
on.
What's up?
Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. All right, have a good day. Zobi, I think we're bringing you back in. There you are, Zobi. How are you?
I am great, and I love hearing the different mentalities different players have across game changers because they all have very very different motivations and shows why we're all here to try and help cover it and bring those stories to light.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's part of our jobs, right? We are not only commentators, hosts,
Vessels.
analysts, we're also coverage people, news reporters as well at times, it feels like. But I think today's games were absolutely amazing. I definitely enjoyed the second series, and I really liked watching Misu's cuties had that coordination that we mentioned before. But I guess for you, Zobi, going into the, of course, tomorrow and the main event soon, like, what are your expectations? Are you expecting any more flourishing teams? Do you think any of the teams that we cover today, or I guess even tomorrow, might make it to the grand finals?
Well, I've been looking over the Radiant streams, and last I heard, Reformed was actually leading 6-4 on map 2 against FlyQuest Red. Obviously, it's a narrow lead. We know FlyQuest is one of the front runners, but with how well they were performing in the matchup we covered for round of 16 today, Starbound, you're not hearing this, but that could be a team I see upsetting and going to the grand finals. We'll have to see if it goes to that map 3 or not. On the other side of things, though, it's kind of panning out with most predictions exactly how I thought it would in terms of the 2-0s, but I will say the scores have been a lot closer, and it shows how just consistently as game changer seasons go on, that kind of ceiling is like number one, the skill level is growing, but it's like the middle GC teams are closing in on those front runners. They're learning, they're acknowledging the fact that you do need to stay together as a squad to grow that chemistry, and it isn't just going to be having a good day is enough to upset some of these signed organizations.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really succinct response there, and I can't really disagree with it. So, Zobi, what are your expectations for tomorrow? Who do you think the top two teams to make it out of GC are going to be?
Ooh, well, we had this joke actually last open qualifier where we were like, is Shopify Rebellion gonna come in for qualifier 2 or qualifier 3? And I was saying qualifier 2 because I was like, I don't think they're as an org gonna chance it. You know, maybe if they have an off day, somebody's Wi-Fi goes out, who knows, of losing that qualification spot. So I think Shopify definitely makes it. Definitely gonna be probably the first to qualify. Who's that second spot? I really have no clue. You know, my heart says FlyQuest Red, but I feel like YFPX is cooking right now. I know they are currently dominating on map 2 as 12-3 after they won map 1 in their matchup. So if there's a team that I think is going to join Shopify, it would be that squad. But otherwise, um, we'll have to wait and see tomorrow because we have both the semifinals and the quarterfinals. Or sorry, the grand finals. Oh my goodness, long day.
Yeah.
Coverage for you with unofficial cast.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see how that's all going to perform out tomorrow as well. Like you mentioned, we still have one more day of amazing GC unofficial qualifier action. And of course, thank you so much again, Zobi, for helping run all of this too. But I believe that's it for us today. I mean, we have had actually a pretty short day, all things considered. And hopefully
Yeah.
tomorrow will be also a pretty manageable day as well. Sadly, this is my only day here as a host. I have more stuff, unfortunately, I have to do, but it's always a great pleasure to work with you and have me brought on here, Zobi. I cannot thank you enough.
Yeah, thank you to Vi, our producer, our first set of casters of Gemma and Clara, and our second visionary and Ari. Everybody here is volunteering their time to showcase these amazing players and their stories, and we hope to keep it up in the future until we make, I guess, organizers aware that this kind of broadcast is needed and wanted by the community. For updates for tomorrow in terms of what matches we'll be covering, you can check out the Twitter or the X, and we'll see you there.
All right, have a nice day, everybody. See ya.